counting or not counting gang violence.
And with an island.
Knock it off, you guys.
Take that away. What are you?
Predator, billionaire, city boy.
I know guys worth none of that. We're 6 or 7 of you. You know, you may not be a threat, but you better stop pretending to be a hero.
A hero? Like you? You're a laboratory experiment, Charlie. Everything special about you came out of a meme.
Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis. Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the most powerful people on the planet.
You can't talk about the Kennedy assassination without talking about Israel, without talking about the Mossad. They're the main people involved. That's the main group involved. The Prime Minister of Israel at the time said that without nuclear weapons, Israel would not survive. Kennedy was asking and asking and asking for neutral scientists to observe the reactor. He continued to push for this with CIA Director McCone and finally was granted access. Israel, prior to the visit, set up a fake control room with fake control panels, and part of the agreement was that the inspectors were never going to be able to inspect the actual reactor. After that visit, Kennedy was quoted in saying, "Those sons of bitches lie to me constantly about their nuclear capability." The Jewish community invites JFK to come to Dallas, which was sponsored by the Dallas Citizens Council, which was directed by Julius Sheps, who was a member of the local B'nai B'rith organization, the ADL B'nai B'rith, once again. A confirmed member of the local B'nai B'rith as well, Abraham Zapruder, was also just so happened to be the guy that caught the assassination on film. Zapruder was also a manufacturer headquartered in the Dallas Textiles building. According to ballistic studies, it was from that building the first 2 shots were fired and missed. The building was owned by David Weisblatt, one of the biggest financiers of the Anti-Defamation League, and Douglas Jaff, one of the biggest donors to Lyndon B. Johnson. The host committee that invited Kennedy to the event in Dallas was chaired by a guy named Sam Bloom. According to Dallas police, it was Bloom who pushed the hardest for the police to transfer Lee Harvey Oswald from the Dallas police station to the Dallas County Jail. Now, it was during that transfer that Jack Ruby shot Oswald. What was Jack Ruby's real last name? Jakob Rubinstein. The reactor went critical right after Kennedy died, and they got the bomb a year or 2 later. That's kind of a coincidence, isn't it? It's kind of a strange coincidence. Kennedy dies, Israel gets the bomb. Gets the bomb.
Please state your full name.
I'm Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands. I have vacation homes in New Mexico, Palm Beach, New York, and Paris.
How long have you been sexually attracted to underage minor females?
I realize what I am. I'm very comfortable in my own skin.
Strap in, because you are about to get a level of access we may never get again. This is an incredible audio file. On justice.gov, I'll put the source link below. I'm at the 210 mark. And I'm just going to play this full exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Ehud Barak. For context, Ehud Barak was the head of Israeli military intelligence from 1983 to 1985. Then he became the prime minister of Israel at the same time that Bill Clinton was the president of the United States. Then he became the basically their version of the head of the Pentagon, the defense minister.
He thinks they'll pay you $2 million to be on the board.
He thought there was two cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel, and everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts sort of strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah. He looks under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir. Pallen. Tier. Palantir is Peter Thiel's company.
He misspells it.
Palantir, Palantir.
Yes.
How you write Thiel? Thiel.
Thiel.
I left my job, my boss, my car, and my home. I'm leaving for a destination I still don't know. Somewhere nobody must have duties at all. And if you like this, you can follow me. So let's go. Follow me. And let's go to the place where we belong and leave our troubles at home. Come with me. We can go to the paradise of love and joy, a destination unknown, known, 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 unknown, known, 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 unknown, known, 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 destination unknown.
Unknown. Destination unknown. Whoa. Where did I go? There I am. Okay. Fellas. How do people normally start streams like this? There's like a way, there's like a tone, a tenor that people take when they start streams about this kind of subject matter. They say things like, I just want to let everybody know I would never kill myself. YouTube. I would never self-delete. I'm in very good mental health. I'm totally sane. And if anything happens to me, you know, it's funny hearing people say shit like that on TikTok. It's funny hearing people say shit like that on TikTok now that every single cunt and his dog knows about Jeffrey Epstein. Hey guys, if anything happens to me, I would like to take the opposite approach, actually. I would like to say, I constantly think about self-deletion. I constantly think about deleting other people. I constantly question my own sanity. Sometimes I see things, shadow figures in the walls. I took psychedelic drugs once. I'm a completely unreliable narrator. I believe in astrology. The fuck? You gonna trust me? Like, I'm clearly mentally retarded. Gentlemen, I feel vindicated. Like, I feel a little bit actually vindicated because 5 years ago, if you told people, and I did, both online and in real life, that there was a cabal of shady, elite, financial capital types, Jewish types, pulling the strings behind Hollywood and international finance and NGOs, you know, like government relations, people will call you a crackpot. People call you a schizo conspiracy theorist. And now everybody knows. It's like I'm vindicated. But it's bittersweet because even though so many people know, like, do the boomers know? And even if the boomers do know, they're so old, are they even going to care? Right? Are they even going to care? And the chuds who know, who are coming up, well, they're just going to like take it out on the Jewish dude who owns the deli at the end of the street, right? It's like, what is all this good mass red pilling of everybody going to actually achieve unless something is done? I don't know if we'll ever get through to the boomers and the chuds. You know, I had to part ways with the alt-right, the dissident right, simply because of their inability to use words like mafia. They just couldn't add that 2-syllable word on the end of it. The Jewish mafia. They just couldn't do it. They couldn't really do it. But it's hard. I really still believe I am like the only person in the world with a sensible take on this shit. It's kind of fucking unreal. I think the biggest takeaway for me from all this shit that's happened the most interesting thing that's in the files that I've seen with my own eyes is the idea that Jeffrey Epstein, in his free time, spent many, many hours moderating 4chan. I think that's probably one of the most interesting things that's come out since Friday, is that Jeffrey Epstein was, in his free time, a 4chan moderator. I mean, we knew it was all a kind of weird backdoor honeypot LARP anyway, didn't we? But then when you couple that with the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was a moderator of Reddit, if Jeffrey Epstein is a moderator of 4chan and Ghislaine Maxwell is a moderator of Reddit, that means that the same type, the same class, the same milieu of people has had control over both sides of the alternative political discussion now for the longest possible time. Holy shit. I've got a funny feeling they want you all to be fervently nationalist just in time for World War III. Wow. Fuck it. What do I know? There are plenty more things I could red pill people about, right? There are plenty more things in the world to red pill about. And chief among them, astrology. Chief among them, the fact that the stars might have any efficacy or any meaning. Well, I found something interesting. I found something really interesting, actually. Cool, interesting, and weird. It's a note from Jeffrey Epstein's friend, Henry. Henry who? I don't know. But maybe Henry isn't someone so famous, or they might have felt the need to redact Henry's name. Regardless, it's a letter, a note, an email, I think. Email correspondence between Jeffrey and Henry. I'll read it to you. Fucking bizarre. I asked my astrologer. Opening line, opening sentence. There's a note. I guess it's a scan or a fax, or I guess it could be a photograph. It looks like a facsimile. It looks like a facsimile copy of a note from Jeffrey Epstein's friend Henry that starts with, I asked my house astrologer what to make of you, and she gave me some incomprehensible charts and some very comprehensible words. The analysis. A fiercely intelligent, highly complex individual for whom the accumulation of great wealth is no problem, prefers working in private, or better yet, utter secrecy. Emotionally complicated, can run hot or cold, can lose interest in the blink of an eye, professes to be available, but much goes on behind the scenes, and he decides what he gives. Extensive scientific / humanitarian / philanthropic strength and co-interest, which, if harnessed and developed properly, could have significant impact. Bracket, as in tangibly changing the world for the better, close brackets. As an added bonus, beat the current masters at their own game. So here Henry has included the feedback, the analysis from his, whoever Henry is, personal house astrologer. And Henry continues below. I like the part that suggested that you didn't know how illegible you liked something distant you are. I think it says how aloof you acted and how distant you are. I have told you before that our friendship, which I greatly enjoy and from which I have learned more than I expected to at this time of life, had to have some additional game for you. I have always assumed that you would one day want to talk about distance and aloofness and their benefits and dissatisfactions with someone who has many of the same burdens. I am ready when you are, Henry. A cryptic and fucking intriguing, puzzling, bizarre letter. But to those of you who understand astrology and to those of you who understand the sign of Aquarius, a lot of shit is going to start making sense later on in this stream. Firstly, it's interesting, as I keep telling you, these people, what do I mean by these people? I got to be very careful. Elite people, what run the world and operate shadow shit behind the scenes, they all believe in astrology, right? That's like that's the first point. Second point is it's super, super fucking interesting how on the money this reading is. I mean, you cannot say that that's a chain of like Barnum statements. You cannot say that that is a chain of like inconsequential, irrelevant Chinese fortune cookie could apply to anyone Barnum statements. That's Jeffrey Epstein in a paragraph. Extensive scientific, humanitarian, and philanthropic strength and co-interest, which, if harnessed and developed properly, you all are not going to like this, could have significant impact as in tangibly changing the world for the better. As an added bonus, beat the current masters at their own game. Before we get into analyzing Epstein's chart, guys, I got to talk to you about who is Jeffrey Epstein, right? We got to work out who the fuck is Jeffrey Epstein, or at least I've got to give you my take on it. Because everyone's got a fucking take on it. I think I'm right, obviously. Like I said, I think I'm the only person who's right and who understands Jeffrey Epstein as who he was, which was not an Israeli asset or a CIA asset so much as American Jewish mafia. If you understand the history of America, if you understand like American history from the 1930s up until the 1960s, 70s, if you understand American history since its inception, you know that America is a gangster's paradise. It is a cowboy, Wild West nation where money really talks more than anywhere else in the world. There's no class system in America. Cash is king. Gangsterism runs America. I think it was a very beautiful dream that those Freemasons had when they set out to America and rebelled against the Jesuits and the Catholic Church and all the monarchies of Europe. And they were like, we're going to set up a base, like libertarian land of freedom. But somewhere along the way, it got fucked. Okay, it got fucked by religious fundamentalists and gangsters, fucking corporate gangsters. Now, in the 1930s, these various gangster factions were kind of vying for control of America, one of which was obviously at the time the American government, back a little bit more powerful back in, before they fucking sold out the Federal Reserve. And the two big factions of gangsters that seemed to have been running America at that time was the Italian mafia and the Jewish mafia. And whereas the Italian mafia was in drugs and prostitution and all this kind of stuff, the Jewish mafia was more in like businesses that could easier be legitimized, shit like casinos, stuff like that. And to make it more interesting, like at least 30% of the Italian mafia were Jewish themselves, right? So it gets complicated. You have this kind of Ashkenazi versus Sephardi thing going on with the fucking Jewish mafia. But if you understand the history of America, if you understand the Jewish mafia, then it actually becomes a hell of a lot fucking easier trying to understand a character like Jeffrey Epstein, who people will tell you was a Mossad agent, was an Israeli agent. Why is Ehud Barak, the former Israeli prime minister, former Israeli defense secretary, why is he sitting down at Jeffrey Epstein's bequest? Why is he being offered millions of pounds to join the board of Palantir by Jeffrey Epstein? Because Jeffrey Epstein doesn't work for Israel, dumb fuck. Israel works for Jeffrey Epstein. Israel is completely controlled by the Jewish mafia. And when you understand the concept of mafia, when you understand how it relates to Jews in particular, and when you understand that how successful the Jewish mafia was at legitimizing, at going into NGOs, at going into politics, and as soon as they got into politics, what did they do? They used their clout and their power and their influence to go after the Italian mafia. That's why you have the CIA and the FBI busting the Italian mafia in the 1940s. Okay, whatever. I'm schizo posting. I just feel like you guys really need to understand the mafioso level, all right, that we're talking about here. People want to act like it's all deep state, like it's all intelligence services. And I'm not saying it's not tied into that. I'm saying these people operate in a gray zone between intelligence services and governments, between corporations and private interests. How do we know this? Well, we look at the biography of Jeffrey Epstein. Where does he come from? He's not some Nepo baby from an elite Jewish family, Rothschild family. He's a lower middle class kid from Brooklyn, New York, who rose through the ranks of what looks like a Jewish criminal organization by basically being the accountant, the counting guy, the money guy for people like Bugsy Siegel. It's an example. It's a bad example. There's no literal tie between those two people. You know what I mean? Like Jewish mafioso types. Guys like Les Wexner. I'm completely fucking insane, by the way. I believe in astrology. Guys like Les Wexner, owner of Victoria's Secret, gremlin of a human being, still yet to be punished and to be penalized. But you know what, guys? Fuck it. I was telling you guys about this shit 5 fucking years ago. Forgive me if I'm a little bored. Forgive me if I'm a little bit fucking bored. You know what I mean? Now that the spurging is over, now that I've kind of briefly summarized who I think Epstein is and why I think his life is so interesting, I want to point your attention to this line here in what's on the screen. This is fascinating to me. As an added bonus, beat the current masters at their own game. As an added bonus, beat the current masters at their own game. Bruh. Is it possible that Jeffrey Epstein was not actually one of the current masters? I know what you're going to say, guys. Hey, I know what you're going to say, guys. Hey, George, you're just pissed off that you didn't get invited. You're just pissed off that you didn't get invited to that island. But seriously, think about it. I know it seems like Epstein's the kind of guy who was pulling all the strings, but somebody offed him. In fact, I would go further. Epstein got offed because in some way he must have fucked with the interests of this criminal mafia. Was Epstein going against them? Well, he must have been in some way in order to get... Isn't it weird how the highers always play the lowers against the middle, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? There's so much more to... What does that mean, beat the current masters at their own game? Crazy shit. Let me read through this chat. We'll pull up the chart. We'll go, I guess, planet by planet. We'll really crack into it. We'll try and understand who the fuck he is, astrologically speaking. Remember, I'm crazy. I'm a crazy person on the internet. Fuck, do I know? Candle, by the way. Full on fucking candle. And then we should look at this Bannon interview. There's a Steve Bannon interview that's floating around. Everyone's freaking out about the Steve Bannon interview. It's been around for a while. I don't know why it resurfaced. Oh, yeah, sorry. Of course, yeah, I do. Yeah, I fucking... actually, yeah, I do actually know why it resurfaced. Give me a second. Need to remove a bunch of shit and add a bunch of new shit. Probably like a share screen, transits. Here's Luna. Some of you have Luna. Some of you use Luna. I fucking love Luna, but Luna is based in Portland, Oregon, and I'm too based, apparently. Too based for the fucking libs. Too woke for the fucking chuds. Like Luna, the chances of Luna giving me a sponsorship for this program is very minimal, despite the fact that I've, sent a bunch of people over to Luna. I think they offered me a 10% promo code. Hey, your 10% promo code. Fuck you, bro. You should sponsor the channel. Holy shit. But until something else comes along, I recommend you use Luna, is basically what I'm saying. Okay. And this is not Jeffrey Epstein's natal chart. This is the transits, aka what was literally in the sky on Friday, when the bulk of these papers from the DOJ dropped. What actually happened on Friday? What actually happened on Friday? Well, I mean, astrologically speaking, Jupiter, right, came into Cancer. And a few hours after this, actually, I don't know, probably later on in the night, around midnight or whatever, the moon joined Jupiter here in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer, a very powerful thing in and of itself. But look at where all the other planets are. Look at where Mercury is. Look at where Venus is. Look at where the sun is. In fact, there's a Mercury-Venus-Sun conjunction along with Mars, along with Pluto, all in the sign of Aquarius. So you have Jupiter moving into Cancer, and you have all the personality planets, all the little planets rapidly rushing into Aquarius. Now, there's many connotations to the sign of Aquarius, right? Like there's connotations about systematizing things and revealing things and, revelations, the group, the collective unconscious, big realizations in the personality planets. It's almost as if some big shit is going to be revealed on Friday with all of these little planets meeting in Aquarius. And at this exact fucking time, Neptune is transiting out of Pisces. Neptune, the planet of delusion. Pisces, a really bad place for Neptune to be. The idea behind Neptune being in Pisces, which it has been for the last 14 years, is that we've all been fucking delusional about stuff for the past 14 years. And on the exactly when Neptune goes into Aries, all of the personality planets move into Aquarius, Jupiter moves into Cancer, and surprise, surprise, every single country in the West is rocked by the fact that their elites are up to shady shit. The US Justice Department releases 3 million pages of previously sealed Epstein files. That literally, at the moment that this conjunction takes place in the sky. For those of you who don't understand astrology, this may seem insignificant to you. Fuck you. I don't know, like genuinely at this point. Thousands of images, videos, previously unseen emails, all released into the public domain. Heavily redacted as usual, of course, but you don't have to be a rocket surgeon to work out what the fuck is going on. Bill Gates, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Howard Lutnick, among others, all implicated. And that's just in the American current political. I mean, look at the UK royal family, Prince Andrew, Peter Mandelson, mad diplomatic and possibly even economic fallout from this. New data is emerging showing just how connected Epstein was to various government officials, to various intelligence agencies, really painting the picture of what this guy actually did, which at the end of the day was sell information, blackmail the fuck out of people and sell information. And that's what's really being like revealed in all of these documents. And of course, there's this mad shit about what was going on Zorro Ranch, which is fucking insane, actually. The Zorro. Everyone talks about the island. Not enough people talk about Zorro Ranch and the freak genetic experiments that Epstein was trying to do on Zorro Ranch. Okay, let me read this chat. A reminder that Kid Cudi had worn the dress. It's so real, dude. It's so fucking real. And there you go. Taking gummies for this. This is, yeah, let's get to, can we just get some fucking evil eye emojis in the chat for Michelle's gummy trip? What the fuck? Yes, hello. Play the song Aquarius. I don't know why you shout on Tucker Carlson for going over this week's earlier. Not only was he right, he was also in on it and part of all of this. I don't remember shitting on Tucker Carlson. I have no idea what you're talking about. Well said. It's a gangster nation. It's a nation for criminals. It's no country for old men, unfortunately. And we all have to reckon with this. I, as an Americaphile, Ricaphile, as you might call it. Hi, George. I was raised in a haunted house. I'm the son of a seer mother. Uh-oh. My father was possessed by a half-goat creature. Motherfucker. I'm supposed to take you seriously when you say shit like this? I'm sure this means something to you and this has efficacy. But how am I supposed to take you seriously when you say shit like this? I've been right, listen. My father was possessed by a half-goat creature. I've been dabbling with magic. Yeah, that's definitely the next words that you want to hear out of somebody's mouth. I don't know. You seem like a channel member. If I was you and I was trying to fuck with magic, I would be in the Black Lodge. The Italian mafia used them and worked with them. Of course they did. There was a bunch of incestuous shit and fuckery. But what I'm trying to tell people is this is not governmental. This is not even non-governmental. That is to say supranational, the NGOs and stuff like that. What Epstein represents and what he obviously is a fall guy, a middle guy, a very powerful and successful guy, but really just a peg in a much, much bigger, larger criminal machine. Which, yes, is obviously Jewish, but if Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were fucking around on Reddit and 4chan, it should tell you that you're being radicalized for a reason. It should tell you that they want you red-pilled, right? It's very scary, actually, when you think about it. I've been watching Behind the Shadows, thinking about joining. I would love to share my stories. Yeah, well, think about it, man. Think about it. It's not what you'd expect in there. I can promise you that much. I fucking love candles. Me too, man. I just thought we'd bring the gods into the room a little bit. You know what I mean? All right. Fucking hell. Jeff the goat. Listen, some ironic simping for Jeff goes a long way, and I'll tell you why. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a chance that at some point he went against the elites. Was he a horrific guy? Looks like it. Was he a pedophile? Looks like it, right? By the way, if Bap and Nick Fuentes, if what they were saying was true, I would actually agree with them. If Jeffrey Epstein was only actually trafficking like 16, 17-year-old girls, then yeah, I would agree. That's not pedophilia. What the fuck? We have bigger fish to fry. But it's looking from the drop that happened this weekend that both those guys are going to be eating their hats because it's looking like that's not the case there, buddy. Holy shit. Like the stream. Like the fucking shit. Hey, wake up. Like the stream. We need to drill down. We need to drill down into his chart, don't we? Really? Thank you for the evil eyes. Holy fucking. The only way to properly view these streams, I make my own candle. Okay, that's kind of based. That is actually kind of, but to be honest, that is kind of based. Something Epstein just makes me think he's tough. Gives me the energy of a warrior type guy. Please hold that thought. Please hold that thought, because we'll be pulling up his chart in a second. I know I've got the right chart for Epstein, by the way. If you look up Jeffrey Epstein natal chart on the internet, you will be presented with a couple of different versions, which already should tell you that there's some fuckery afoot. The fact that someone like Jeffrey Epstein would go to great lengths to safeguard his time of birth, can't really do much about your day of birth because it's public record, but your time of birth should tell you a lot. There's a lot of fake birth charts floating around for Jeffrey Epstein. How do I know I've got the right one? Well, it's the one Henry's astrologer used, isn't it? It's the one Henry's astrologer used previously. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. Stop sharing and share this instead. This is an accurate birth chart for Jeffrey Edward Epstein, born 20th of January, 1953, at approximately, as they used to do it back on the old birth certificates, 12 p.m. That is to say high noon. That is to say midday. What do we know about people who are born with their sun on the mid-heaven? What do we know about people who are born with their sun in the center, middle, top of their chart? There's so much shit going on in this chart. Holy fucking shit, there is so much stuff going on in this chart. I'm going to put the link in the chat, okay? You can come on only if you're a Black Lodge member. I haven't got time for taking... but what was it you said? You said warrior energy. Check out Mr. Epstein's moon. Where is Mr. Epstein's moon? There we go. Boom. Aries moon. At his core inner self, Jeffrey Epstein is a warrior, dude. At his core inner, if you grabbed Jeffrey Epstein and threw him up against a wall, and I always tell people this, right? Shaniqua wants you to look at your big three. Shaniqua wants you to look at rising sign, sun sign, moon sign. I'd say you can almost put rising sign on tier 2. Rising sign is like an A tier, but not an S tier. The moon is S tier. If you really want to get to know someone, you don't look at their rising sign. You don't look at the superficial bullshit that surrounds them. You look at their moon if you can find it. Warrior, fighter, pioneer, intrepid guy, disagreeable, highly disagreeable guy. You see an Aries moon in a lot of MMA fighters. Red pill, you see an Aries moon in a lot of deeply spiritual people like mystics and stuff. Because what is the moon? Well, the moon is imagination, the moon is emotion, the moon is subconscious processing. And when the moon sits in a fire sign, it's going to imbue that person's emotions and like emotional processing and stuff with aggression and with a sense of fire and with a sense of flair. Often these are really passionate people, very spirited people. If you grab Jeffrey Epstein by the collar and pushed him up against a wall, which is what your moon sign is, he'd probably punch you back in the face. He's probably not the kind of guy that you could manhandle physically without him getting aggressive. The moon is actually fascinatingly aspected as well, aspected to the Uranus, aspected to the south node, and then obviously by association the north node, but it's stronger connected to the south node. So Jeffrey Epstein may be bringing some like emotional baggage from like a previous life, right? We can tell heaps of shit just by looking at Jeffrey Epstein's moon. But chief among them is that you are correct, mate. Yeah, bit of a fighter. Erica Kirk has multiple birth dates online. It's Elite 101. Yeah, well, of course it is. When you know the power of this stuff, and you know, plus you don't want people hexing you and cursing you. You don't want somebody making a giant copy replica of your birth chart and standing in it to summon Quran's on, right? Like you want to just chill. If you're an elite pedophile, chill with leaking your birth time, all right? Because I will hex/curse you. I'm not. I just have a chip on my shoulder. Okay. I had an ex-girlfriend who was a Cancer. She was a bitch, but I love them. They're a great sign. I don't have any personal beef with them. I used to say Cancers are cancer, and I used to do everything I could to like cut Cancer people out of my life. But I found great utility in talking to them. You just have to know how to talk to them. But yeah, Aries moon, fundamentally an Aries moon. But look, it's not the thing that jumps out to us straight away about Jeffrey's chart. His moon in the 11th, his moon in Aries, it's not angular. What do I mean by angular? It doesn't sit on the pivots, right? AKA the ascendant, midheaven, descendant, or IC. It doesn't sit on any of these, meaning it's not going to be as prominent in the life or in the personality. It's, it's not in an angular house. It's sitting there relatively well aspected, but kind of unaspected in the scheme of things. It's quintile to his sun. So Jeffrey Epstein are really able to understand the emotions of other people. Like actually a phenomenal gift, phenomenal fucking gift for being able to understand the emotions and the egos of other people. That's kind of interesting. But we would look at what is actually on the pivot, and we would start, I guess, with the sun. We'd start with the sun being at 0 degrees Aquarius. The first thing to know, obviously, is to understand what the sun is, and the sun rules the ego. The sun rules the core personality, the visible self. A lot of what Jeffrey Epstein's astrologer friend, right, or friend, Jeffrey Epstein's friend's astrologer, a lot of what he is saying, Henry's astrologer is saying in this analysis is fiercely Aquarian, right? Intelligent, highly complex individual. Okay, boom, that's Aquarian as fuck. You're just starting here. Intelligent, highly complex individual with the sun at 0 degrees of Aquarius. It makes the Aquarian energy really strong. A little bit uncertain and having some of the lingering traits from the sign before, having some of the Capricornian traits in there from the sign before, but very, very strong, like a very, very strong, to have it on the midheaven will give it even more Aquarian traits in the personality. Where is he drawing the second part of his analysis, where he goes on to say, accumulation of wealth is no problem, who prefers working in private or better yet in utter secrecy? Very simple. Across the wheel from the sun sits Jeffrey Epstein's lot of fortune. This is the circle. You can't see it too clearly on the screen, but you full screen it. Or just Google the symbol for lot of fortune. It's the circle with the cross in it, the circle with the X in it. A lot of astrologers will say, don't read fortune as money. Don't read fortune as prosperity. It relates more to other things and it imbues a sense of luck or a sense of prosperity into other things. But I say, fuck yeah, read it as money. And that's why I read charts, by the way, in Placidus, because you can see really interesting shit like Jeffrey Epstein having his fortune slap bang on his IC. So these various axes of the wheel, just to refresh your memory, the AC or the ascendant is the outward facing you. The IC, the Imam Koli, the down here at the bottom, is the hidden part of you, the private part of you, in the same way that the DC across here is how you relate to others, and the MC at the top is your public legacy, how you are remembered. So it's very common to see the sun in the midheaven of public people, famous people, well-known people. And it's very common to see fortune on the private angle of people who make a shit ton of money by private, nefarious, or secret means. It's the most fucking insane thing knowing what I know about Jeffrey Epstein looking at this, because his money is also square to his Saturn. If you look at the fortune, and again, like people will say, don't read fortune as money. I really think you should fucking read fortune as money to a certain sense, especially when it shows up like this, like angularly like this. Fortune is square to Saturn. What does that mean? Well, it means money problems. But if you can get over something like a fortune Saturn square, then what is Saturn going to give you? Endurance, discipline, longevity, stability over time, because that is what Saturn is. He's the things that endure, like problems, like death to the ancient Greeks. Just looking at his chart, I would be drawn to fortune, I would be drawn to the sun, and then I would be drawn to I would be drawn to Jupiter. It's kind of interesting. I would be drawn to Jupiter on the ascendant, because that's somebody who, here, where Jupiter sits on the kind of, it's in the 12th house, but it sits close enough to the angle that I would think Jeffrey Epstein would project a kind of Jupiterian, like jovial attitude into the world. People project often the gods, the energies that sit on the AC. So if you have a planet slap bang on your ascendant or on your rising sign, either very close in the 12th or the first house, Usually you can look like that planet. I'm not even joking. Someone has Venus on the rising, they tend to be more pretty or more handsome. Someone has Mercury on the rising, they're going to have more of a triangular jester, joker face. Someone has Saturn on the rising, it's more of a severe kind of trapezoid look. This is going to give him a kind of Jupiterian, jovial energy, but it's not the only thing pushing itself prominently into the rising. He also has Nessus. If you guys want to know about Nessus and you want to know about the centaurs, I highly recommend going and watching the stream I did that explains these things in detail. But Nessus is a fascinating thing for Jeffrey Epstein to have on his ascendant, because Nessus is all about impulsive, compulsive behaviors that you can't quite control. And he's projecting that out immediately, along with a bunch of power. When you meet Jeffrey Epstein, you think, fucking hell, this guy's got a lot of leverage, and fucking hell, this guy is like kinky and weird and erratic. It's like right there in the front of who he is. Very, very fucking interesting. But I would be more drawn to this like cluster of planets up here. I'm kind of hoping you guys can see my fucking mouse, although this will not make too much sense. But this cluster of planets in the 11th house in Pisces, man, that's fucking fascinating. There's 4 parts of the chart where my attention is being drawn: the IC with Fortune, the MC with the Sun, Saturn over here in a cluster with Neptune. That's a whole thing. We need to unpack that in a second. And then this cluster up here. This little cluster of asteroids, weighted points, and Mars and Venus. Whenever you see Mars and Venus together in a natal chart, and I mean, in this guy's chart, they're not just together, they're fucking slap bang together. They're as close together as you could possibly be. They occupy the exact same place in the sky, 16 degrees of Pisces, right? When you see Venus and Mars next to each other like that, and I know this because I have this, okay? This is someone who has real problems in love and in relationships. Scandals in love and in relationships. Problems with, often it can be like violence and arguments in relationships, because Mars, with violence, separation, anger, libido, impulsivity, in with Venus, love, romance, loyalty, attraction, can be really fucking messy. It can be really, really difficult to handle. In Jeffrey's case, not only are Mars and Venus together in a sign where they don't want to be, and the sign in the house makes a massive difference with something like a Mars-Venus conjunction. They're together, Mars and Venus are together in Pisces, where they don't really want to be, next to Juno. Again, watch my fucking Juno stream. Juno representing like long-term stable social contracts and relationships, and the part of spirit, which basically represents his conscience and his the voice in his head, his holy guardian angel, if you will. He's got this cluster of planets in Pisces: Venus, Mars, Juno, and then the lot of spirit as well. Juno for me speaks to Ghislaine Maxwell and speaks to his long-standing relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, like quite a lot. And I think you can see how Nessus and the addictive, compulsive stuff feeds into this cluster. You can see how Chiron and some ninth house trauma from his school days is feeding into this somehow. You can see how he has Uranus and his like big ideas and inspiration in the 3rd house in Cancer feeding into this somehow. But it basically talks to his relationships and how fucked they were. It basically talks to his freaky proclivities and his tendency to get, the Greeks would say that like scandal and sex scandal would follow someone everywhere with this kind of conjunction. It's in a cluster like that, in a conjunction like that, where you see like how right guys like Valens were with their assessments. Like, holy shit. But yeah, and then after that cluster, I'm sort of being drawn over here to Saturn and to Neptune. Really, really interesting how Saturn and Neptune are so prominent in his chart. Really, really interesting how Saturn and Neptune are prominent now in the astrology of now, when all of these documents are being released. Neptune moving from Pisces into Aries, Saturn moving from Pisces into Aries also. And culturally, it's like these big delusions are breaking. It's kind of mirrored in his own chart, which is fascinating. In Libra, Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Libra, extremely manipulative guy. Problems with relationships, not just in the romantic sense, but like problems from relationships. Extremely fucking ominous to see it in the 6th as well. Totally speaks to someone who would be assassinated. Square to Pholus, which sits next to his sun on the midheaven. That's fascinating. Again, it's one for those of you who are interested to watch the asteroid stream. But Pholus prominent in somebody's chart. Pholus is like small things, small causes, big effects. Pholus being square to Saturn like that means like he did something to piss somebody off very small and it spiraled into them killing him in a jail cell. Pholus next to the sun on the midheaven like that is like he did something one time that was really small and it spiraled out into him being really successful and really prominent and really well known in his life. So it's kind of like really, really interesting. The chart breaks loosely into these four kind of clusters: the Venus-Mars thing, the sun, the IC down at the bottom, and then this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which are kind of next to each other. I made some notes earlier and I'll kind of talk you through them for more clarity, but this is like my first initial impression. And this is actually no shit what I do. First thing I do is I look at the actual pattern formed by the lines and I get real schizo with it. But I'm trying to give you guys stuff that's actually going to be helpful when you're reading charts, you know? Let me read the chat real quick. Need a Venn diagram. Sounds like my heckin' coach. What's the placement that makes him funny? Sorry if that's been addressed. I just joined. Well, he's got great placements for being a relationship builder. Saturn in Libra, the Jupiter on the rising makes him funny, right? Jovial, outgoing, but it also makes him powerful. Like if you wear Jupiter on close to your rising, you're going to give off Jupiterian energy. That's jovial, happy, funny, abundant energy. Someone who gives someone a lot of gifts and stuff. I mean, that's like very, very evident in the chart. Let me see if there's any other funnies. Not real, like, see, the sun is fallen in Aquarius. Often people who have Aquarius suns, and I'm really sorry if you have an Aquarius sun, it really depends how it's aspected, but also no, it doesn't. You're kind of all a bit like this. All Aquarius suns kind of have inferiority complexes. There's like a deep inferiority complex in the Aquarius sun, which I think comes from being opposite Leo. The sun wants to be at home in Leo, and Aquarius is technically the furthest place away that the sun or your ego can be. And when it's in Leo, it gets to be all about me, and I, and it gets to express itself. And when it's in Aquarius, it's just like it can only really understand itself in relation to the collective unconscious and technology and humanity and like big, lofty, high-minded ideals, which is why you get this like crazy thing of like Jeffrey Epstein being like a mad scientist archetype. This whole chart with Jupiter trining into the sun like that, the sun in Aquarius like that, and Saturn squaring into the sun like that. It's like, yeah, okay. If this guy works his ass off, then like the astrologer's initial assessment, which I go back to, let's see. Extensive scientific, humanitarian, philanthropic strength and co-interest, which, if harnessed and developed properly, could have significant impact as intangibly changing the world for the better. Sun in Aquarius on the midheaven with all of that crazy shit kind of squaring. You can actually see his working below. Those of you who understand, charts, I will go ahead and post this so you can actually see the chart at the bottom and the aspect grid, because it is fascinating. Like, it's genuinely fucking fascinating. I'm a Cancer moon. I hate misplaced appreciation. You'll need us. Yeah, if you're a Cancer moon, I just quit bitching. Quit fucking bitching and like stop feeling sorry for yourself. Water sign moons in general, like, fuck, man, you're victims. Quit it. Like, actually quit it. Don't use astrology as the cope of like, oh, I've got a Cancer moon, I get to be sad and pathetic. Like, no. You've got a Cancer moon and you're aware of it. So now you have an extra obligation to not be a soppy, pathetic cunt. You know what I mean? Grow up. Seriously. It's not all about you and your emotions. Like, and look, don't get me wrong, there's some great things to having a water moon too, okay? If your moon is in Scorpio, your moon is in Pisces, your moon is in Cancer, yeah, whatever. You're going to get mad intuition, imagination, creativity. Sick, good for you. But like, just chill, all right, with making other people's emotions your problem, because like, fuck, man. Yo, George, what's your chart? I gatekeep my chart. I lie a lot about where I'm from and where I was born. I'm actually Australian. I just don't let people know this kind of stuff. Bro, has my Mars and Venus both in Capricorn? It's been brutal for him. Oh, my bro has Mars and Venus both in Capricorn. It's been brutal for him in his love life. Yeah, in Capricorn it will, because it'll be cold, it'll be bitter. That Mars and Venus take on the same flavor. All your relationships, your Venusian loves get imbued with martial characteristics And for Epstein, he's got Juno in there as well. He's got his long-term contractual stable. And it was a weird relationship between Epstein and Maxwell, right? It lasted for 40 years, but they lived in separate houses. And even in the properties that they shared, they slept in separate bedrooms, but they fucked people together. And she was like his perfect unicorn, lesbian, simp girlfriend. Like absolutely fucking bad. Like, listen, I don't want you guys to think that like a Mars-Venus conjunction automatically fucks you with women. Right? I'm serious, guy. I don't want you to think this, again, we can be so reductive with our Shaniqua slop. We can be so fucking reductive with our Shaniqua. Guys, I have to show you, I'm sorry, I have to show you this picture. I have to just show you this image file. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. If this is like triggering anyone, I apologize. But like, just for get you a girl who can do both. Okay. A Mars-Venus conjunction does not mean bad luck with bitches. But a Mars-Venus conjunction in stoic, cold, calculating, dry, infertile, sterile Capricorn, well, okay. With other bad planets like Saturn and stuff aspecting into it, well, okay, right? In other ways, it might lead to sexual scandal. In other ways, it might lead to being too impulsive when it comes to the opposite sex, right? Biting off more than you can chew, getting yourself in trouble with the ladies, so to speak. So there's many ways that a Mars-Venus conjunction can manifest. Don't come to me with like, oh, Mars-Venus conjunction, I get no bitches. Mars square Venus, I get no bitches. Although I will agree that I've seen that a lot. I've seen that a lot. You can work through it, okay? It's not an excuse. It doesn't necessarily 100% guarantee, right? If you have a Mars-Venus conjunction in Leo, if you have a Mars-Venus conjunction in... Now, Leo is a great example. You're not going to struggle. You're not going to struggle. Like, you're really not going to struggle. It depends where it is and how it's aspected. But yeah, your bro does sound fucked. I'm not going to lie. I just want you guys to see this picture on the screen right now is a Mars-Venus-Juno conjunction. Do me a favor, guys. Like the fucking stream, okay? Palantir is trying to nerf me at the door, all right? This shit cannot fly. Back to the chart. Now, shit, wrong chart. Cool. I've got like 9 tabs open here. You got to bear with me. Let me see. Let me go through my notes here. Yeah, first thing I looked at was the sun, the Mercury. The sun and the Mercury. I haven't really I've talked about the sun being on the MC and the sun being close to Pholus, but I haven't really talked about the sun and Mercury. Jeffrey Epstein is a great example of something that I would like to call under the beams. Under the beams. And actually, under the beams can make for quite a brilliant mind. Mercury is sort of fucked about 8 degrees away from the sun. Mercury, of all the planets, Mercury is the best to deal with being close to the sun. He comes close to the sun a lot, right? Mercury is only ever 30 degrees away from the sun on either side. I think of it like the messenger who comes into the court of the king, and the king is very powerful and very bright, and he's like, my lord, you know, like it's this kind of thing. Mercury can handle it, but he doesn't really like being close to the sun. AKA, your mind does not like being close to your ego. AKA, when Mercury is what we call combusted, Mercury is close to the sun, the natives who have that, like Mercury-Sun conjunction, hard conjunction, they always tend to have their mind, their rational mind, their conscious mind, which is Mercury, clouded by the sun, clouded by their ego. They start a lot of sentences with I. They find it really hard to empathize with people and think outside of themselves. Often, the closer you get to the sun, Mercury and the sun, the more combusted we say the person's Mercury is by their ego, unless the Mercury is sitting exactly on the sun, in which case it's called cazimi, and that is something very different, but I won't get into that right now. Jeffrey Epstein is 1 degree away from having this problem. His Mercury is 9 degrees at 21 degrees Taurus away from his sun at 0 degrees Aquarius. If his Mercury was 1 degree closer to his sun, or his sun was 1 degree closer to his Mercury, his mind would be a bit cooked. But what it gives him is this brilliance of being under the beams. Mercury is standing in a really good place, in a really good reception to the sun. And he's just outside of that zone of bad influence. Makes for a very, very powerful mind. It's also fucking huge. It's also a huge thing to see the sun on the midheaven like that and Mercury so close to the sun like that, because it means that the ideas, the mind is tied to the identity. It means this person's going to have a really strong voice. It means this person's going to be full of fucking ideas and creativity and be really persuasive, basically. Even though his money is private, right? His fortune is on the IC. His mind is public. You see what I mean? His ego is public. He's out there talking to people all the time as the character of Jeffrey Epstein. And there's something really interesting going on with the whole money behind the scenes, personality, ego up front that I think is like, there's something worth kind of commenting on there. The sun is interesting in a bunch of other ways, particularly because it's square to Saturn. One thing I always think of with Sun, Saturn square each other is that this person will not get the recognition and praise that they deserve in early life. Now, in Epstein's case, he's a pretty infamous guy. He probably didn't want to get a lot of praise, not praise, but like he didn't want to get a lot of recognition for the shit that he was up to. So in his case, Saturn square to the sun is actually working in his favor. But in most people, like if I saw Saturn square to the sun, I'd be like, the first 30 years of your life, first 29 years of your life before Saturn return, it's going to be a problem. You're going to have problems expressing your ego. You're going to have problems being rewarded and acknowledged for who you are, for being seen and being visible and stuff. And no doubt Epstein did have these problems in early life, probably why he worked so hard to ingratiate himself with the Jewish mob. If you can work through something like this, if you can get over a negative aspect like this, particularly this one here, the sun square to Saturn, it's going to give your ego crazy endurance. It's going to build, you're going to be able to build a persona, which is like, craft an ego that actually really lasts for a long time. This is clearly the angle and approach that like he's taken to life. It also means that his mind is going to mature with age, which, although it seems like a Barnum statement, is not true for everyone, I assure you. And the Mercury, the sun doesn't. The sun only squares into the Saturn, but the Mercury squares into Neptune as well. So his mind, sun are close to each other, not so close as to be fucked, but close enough that they're in league and in line with each other. Different signs, same angle. His Saturn is square to his sun, but his Saturn and his Neptune are square to his Mercury. Bruv. This is kind of like a really dangerous guy. This is a really dangerous mind. Really fucking dangerous mind. Like malefic square on two malefic planets sitting next to each other, fusing together. All this, like, all the hard limits of Saturn and all of the delusion and shit of Neptune fusing together in his life, squaring into his sun. A guy with extremely dangerous and powerful ideas who's likely to be, that's not even, when you add Neptune in there, it's not about not being heard, it's about being completely misunderstood. It's about being completely misunderstood by people. That's how I would describe it. Am I saying Jeffrey Epstein, misunderstood king? I don't know. Let's not go that far on a astrology stream. But you would see this in someone who got accused a lot of lying. You would see this in someone who got accused a lot of exaggerating. You would see this in someone who got accused of shit they didn't necessarily do. Just saying. That wouldn't be crazy. Saturn conjunct Neptune is wild anyway. It's in the 6th house. It's in an angular house. It's very prominent. The guy's a spiritual realist with Saturn next to Neptune. It's like he's very real about matters of like spirit and matters of imagination. Again, difficult to work through, because it could lead to some problems with delusion as well. But it forces these two kind of these kind of elements together in Libra. Fuck, it's relational. It all comes through other people, basically. We've talked a lot about the Venus-Mars conjunction. We've talked a little bit about the Jupiter on the ascendant. It's wide, but it's real. It's definitely there. I mean, you can see it. Look, I'll highlight it for you. And we've talked about Jupiter hitting the nodes as well. Because that is someone, whenever you see Jupiter and when it is squaring to both his north and south node, that's someone who's not necessarily got like this guy is not a normie. Jupiter, which gives abundance and gifts and prosperity, is square to his actual life journey. Like, this guy's going to have an interesting life, basically. This guy's going to have a very interesting, unique, unusual life that they're going to carve out for themselves, basically, is what that suggests. Another thing I made notes about here that I kind of didn't mention yet is Pluto, because Pluto moves quite slowly. But what Pluto shows you or can show you is how someone is literally going to die. and him dying in the fourth, right? Him dying in that same house with the secrecy and the fortune and the Lilith, the sexual scandal and all that kind of shit makes perfect fucking sense. Dying, it'd be more likely to see someone die at home with Pluto in the fourth, but dying in private, dying in secrecy, dying with Pluto close, again, not exact, but close to the IC, it kind of makes a lot of fucking sense. And then you've got Pholus and you've got Nessus all over the fucking angles of the chart. Like all over the fucking angles of the chart. These two centaurs, Pholus and Nessus. Chiron a little bit too. But I have to say, looking at this, if I had to guess, I would say Jeffrey Epstein not traumatized himself, just a traumatizer of other people. And a traumatizer of other people in really like high-minded, lofty ways. Completely out of touch emotionally with his own trauma. If you asked him, do you have any trauma? Do you have any daddy issues with Chiron and Capricorn? He would say no, but he definitely does. And I'd be really interested looking at this on his relationship with his father. Just trying to talk you guys like how I'm like thinking out loud here, obviously, but Pholus, which is a small cause leading to a big effect, right there on the midheaven, right there with his son and his ego and his fame and his long-term legacy. Something small happened, an accident maybe, a happy accident maybe, a chance opportunity. And this guy, this lower middle class kid from Brooklyn, Jewish kid, kind of stumbled in with the right other Jewish people and kind of made a name for himself. Fuck, it's fascinating, man. Okay, yeah, I made a note about this as well. He's got Moon. This is kind of interesting. His Moon squares into his Chiron, and then from there it opposes his Uranus, which squares back into his Moon. So there's a circuit being formed between his emotions, subconscious, imagination, everything that the Moon represents in Aries, his wounds and trauma, which he's not in touch with, and Uranus. Big flashes of insightful ideas. There's like a weird kind of feedback loop. Like this is going to make him an incredibly emotionally unpredictable guy. This thing that the astrologer brought up, right? Hot and cold. Goes from hot to cold, loses interest in the blink of an eye, professes to be available, but much goes on behind the scenes. He decides what he gives. Well, not that he decides what he gives bit, but that bit really kind of charming. I can totally see where she was coming from with that. I'll summarize the chart for you. Obviously, if Epstein was a client of mine, if I was doing a reading for Epstein, I would present him with an aspect list. We would go one by one and we would try and look at how this relates to his life. That's why I always say it's actually better sometimes. It depends on the kind of person you are. Like it's better sometimes to book a session rather than to like actually just get a recording of a chart and have me yap at you for 40 minutes. Depends on the person. But to summarize this is a public person with a lot of private interests who is not revealing who their true self is fully, like who has money and prosperity coming from like real hidden places. A public mind wants to put their ideas out there, wants to put their philanthropy and their kind of mad, eccentric genius shit out there. This all makes so much sense when you know what he was doing at Zorro Ranch. The breeding program that he was trying to do at Zorro Ranch, where he was trying to create like the new super race of the future. Look into it. I'm just a crazy person on the internet. This is someone who exposes narratives. Like this is someone who shatters delusions. This is and possibly accidentally with Pholus in there like that, some small thing. Jupiter in the 12th. This is someone with a lot of enemies. Jupiter in the 12th, ruling the 8th house, the house of death. So the house, I'll talk you through, I'm sort of thinking out loud here, right? But like if Pluto doesn't show you just how someone's going to die, the 8th house can also speak a lot to how someone's going to die. Should not be teaching you death astrology, but fuck it, we ball. His 8th house being in Sagittarius is interesting enough because it suggests someone dying far away from where they were born. But his 8th house, the ruler of his 8th house is Jupiter. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. His 8th house is in Sagittarius. Jupiter is in the 12th. the 12th of confined places, the 12th of hidden places. So with his Pluto in the 4th and his Jupiter in the 12th, dying in prison makes so much fucking sense. Hopefully enough of you know what I'm talking. Enough of you are up to speed in the lodge now to understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, someone who breaks the narrative, I maybe unwittingly. And someone obsessed with like the truth, systematizing the truth, finding out the truth, delving into the truth. You can see how he made a lot of money from secrets. But you know what? You know what else you can see in this? You can see the kind of dude who in his free time rents a submarine with his long-term freaky girlfriend and tries to find the lost city of Atlantis. Like, this is the chart of an eccentric, mad scientist, genius, with real love life problems, probably shit tons of like romantic riz. And in whole sign, it would push that Saturn Neptune thing into 5th house, which would speak a lot. Interesting. Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud. Here. But to summarize, I would say that what the astrologer outlined, what Henry's personal astrologer outlined, is pretty fucking accurate, actually. Was Epstein right about hermits being happy? Well, we should get into it, shouldn't we? We should get into the Bannon clips. Let me first look at the synastry chart, because someone in the lodge asked me to run the synastry on Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine? Fuck it. Here, I'll show you. Here's the buy wheel. Here is the synastry buy wheel for Jeff and Ghislaine. And there's a lot going on. Just to give you a quick kind of approach as to how we'd look at synastry. Really, if you wanted to know about their relationship in the long term, you'd pull a composite chart. You'd mash these two charts together instead of laying them over the top of each other, which is what we have here. This is what's referred to as a buy wheel. Here, Jeffrey Epstein being the circle in the middle with the sun on the midheaven. Ghislaine Maxwell being the circle on the outside with her Saturn on the midheaven, on the exact same degree as Jeffrey Epstein's sun. His sun on her Saturn, wait, shouldn't she cause his ego problems? Yeah, I mean, she may have actually caused his death inadvertently. We don't know. But what it does mean is long term. People always look at Saturn as bad, universally bad. And this is why I say he's a malefic. He's not bad. Like, he can bring good qualities too. Saturn is endurance. Saturn is perseverance. Saturn is discipline. Saturn is restriction. Restriction is not always a bad thing. Her Saturn, his sun. Is a relationship between the two of them, public relationship between the two of them, because it's right on the shared chart midheaven. Public relationship between the two of them, which causes problems for both of them, particularly for him and his ego, but which has intense endurance and lasts for a very long time. Just off the Sun-Saturn conjunction in the synastry bi-wheel, we're starting to learn a lot, because what does it mean? Well, it puts her Saturn opposite his fortune, right? It does a lot of other stuff too. It plays into everything else. Other interesting things to note in the synastry, just quickly, Ghislaine has a Mars, Sun, Mercury stellium in Capricorn, because of course she does. This is so perfect, actually, that they're such a like Jewish evil matched like power couple. He's an Aquarius, she's a Capricorn. You know what I mean? He's the masculine Saturnian sign, she's the feminine Saturnian sign. But anyway, Jeffrey Epstein's Vesta, which is in an empty house, his family lines up perfectly. His idea of family, where Jeffrey Epstein most feels at home and safe, and the hearth, where his real heart is, spiritually speaking, which is what Vesta represents. And the Vestal virgins, purity, homely comeliness. Mars, Sun, and Mercury of Ghislaine, and the Venus of Ghislaine, all hitting Jeffrey Epstein's Vesta. So she is where Jeffrey Epstein feels at home, despite the Saturn conjunction. Actually, I hate to say it, sue me, it's a beautiful relationship that they have. child trafficking aside, it's a beautiful relationship that they have. It's a very long-term, stable, enduring relationship. Her Pallas, Athena, and her Priapus, that is to say her wisdom and her positive libido, in line with his Mars-Venus conjunction, where his Juno is also. Crazy to think that she may have been his literal Juno. That is to say, the literal love of his life. If this doesn't make sense to you, you're gonna have to go back and watch my stream, members only, on Juno. There's a hell of a lot of other stuff going on. There's a Pluto South Node conjunction. There's a Moon South Node, Pluto North Node conjunction and a Moon South Node conjunction. These two probably knew it. It's that deep that these two probably knew each other in a past life. We don't use the word soulmates because that's cringe and retarded, but these two definitely knew each other in a past life. It's kind of insane. Most interesting also, her fortune, Ghislaine's prosperity and money and luck on his Mercury and on his Pholus. So the thing that makes him, and on his Sun. So the thing that makes him famous and successful and plugged in also makes her success. She's making a lot of money from her connection to and her relationship with him, basically. And that's very obvious and very evident in here. All tied into the opposition with Uranus, speaking to like eccentric ideas, philanthropic schemes. I can totally see where his astrologer has got half, where Henry's astrologer has got half of his fucking read from. I'm going to put the link in the chat one more time if anybody would like to join me. Again, only really open to Black Lodge members. 78 people watching. We're out of control. Sorry, Elon. It says no Elon's allowed, but Jeff, you let Elon Shapiro in. It says no Elon's allowed. Elon Musk name is all over this. His name is all over it. And I love the angle that he's taking where he's like, I knew I was going to get in trouble, but I did it anyway so I could reveal the truth. It's great. What? It's all coming out in the wash now. Holy shit. I'm an Aquarius sun and the funniest guy I know. Probably my Cancer rising troll aspect, to be fair. Yeah, there's different types of funny, right? There's different types of funny. Me, I'm a big fan of Virgo humor. I want to thank Toast is Chains in Action for becoming a member. Because, like, genuinely, guys, this channel is basically funded by members and patrons and obviously clients and people who book readings and consultations with me. But, like, I'm just immensely grateful that this channel gets the views and the sponsorship and you know, it's not easy to find people to support me, external people to support me, although things are in the works. So thank you. Toast is chasing action. My Libra sun and large Sagittarius placements balances out my bipolar moon in Cancer. Yeah, exactly. The moon in Cancer is hard work, really. For the native who has a moon in Cancer, it's hard work, but that's something that's going to balance out beautifully. Moon in Cancer, you'll want to sit on your own and be on yourself and cry by yourself, but you have those Libra Sag things where you're going to have to put yourself in the group. You're going to have to just put yourself into the group in order to, you know, be relational and stuff. So yeah, it will help you massively. Although I bet other people trigger you a lot. There's only 200K files tops. I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying with that, but I think there's a lot more than that. Ghislaine Maxwell loved Epstein more than Erica loved Charlie Kirk. That's evident. That's really evident. If you remember from the Charlie's astrology stream, his Juno was pretty poorly aspected. His Juno seemed a lot more public. His Juno seemed a lot more like, you know, if we look at Epstein's chart here, right, where actually is Juno? She's in the 11th house with Mars, with Venus. It's all relational. It's all about networks. It's all about alliances, deals. So it's positive. It's like, it's looking like that relationship is like genuinely meaning something for them. Whereas the Juno in Charlie Kirk's chart, if I remember correctly, it was very public. It was very on the midheaven. The Charlie Kirk's Juno placement was giving Erica Kirk as a show wife. Erica Kirk is a trophy wife, that it's all a facade, that it's all an act, you know, like bread and circus is kayfabe relationship. But Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell loved each other. Like, that's really fucking evident from the synastry chart. Yeah, I mean, fuck. You is tripping. My Venus is square to my Mars and opposed to my Juno. Oof. What's your love life like? And what's your love life like? How about how about Mars Venus conjunct in Cancer? Well, it's going to give it a lot more of a familial aspect. It's going to mean that the relationships that you have will have more of an emotional, caring, nurturing undertone to them. Possibly some of the hottest sex you ever have will be with your wife, right? If you have a Mars Venus conjunction in Cancer, it's not a terrible place to see it. Mars is nerfed in Cancer, right? He's debilitated in Cancer. He doesn't really like to be there. So actually, it can work quite well in your favor when you have a Mars-Venus conjunction and you have the Mars in Cancer. But yeah, man, and again, thank you also, Mr. Mo, member for 5 months. Thank you for your continued fucking support, bro. Holy shit. That's the mind of a guy who's going to build a temple on an island. Unironically, yes, it is. And it's a guy who, you know, I'm very surprised Epstein didn't write research papers and journals himself, right? But it makes perfect sense with a child like this that he would go on to fund a bunch of people. And I mean a bunch of people. There is a reason that Epstein was funding J.F. Guriepi, everyone's favorite Canadian eccentric autistic wife murderer, right? You know what I mean? Like there's something to that. There's something to the fact that Epstein's reach was so far and wide that he's on 4chan moderating. He's funding JF Gary Ray Rapey. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jelane's Maxwell was ride or die. Erica is die so I can ride. Real. And it shows. It fucking shows. The Georgetown Island redact is going to be a hoot. Beast. I would do it so much better. I would do it so much. Firstly, all the girls would be 18, right? Like, firstly. So George just 17, maybe kidding. So George, just based on his chart, is Epstein the kind of guy to kill himself when cornered or not? Fascinating. There are many things that can indicate a suicide in a natal chart. Many things. One of them is malefics in the 6th or on the descendant, right? But there's many. I could make you a list. I could make you a list of like 30 things that could show a tendency towards suicide. And I know that seems nebulous and annoying and vague, but people do not kill themselves for the same reasons. If Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, and we know by now that he absolutely fucking didn't, but if he did, it would be in a very impulsive way. The dude's moon or emotions is in Aries, aka crash a car, jump off a bridge, shoot yourself in the head with a rifle, a very impulsive way, not I am going to hang myself in a jail cell because I'm so sad about the things that I did. If a guy like Epstein, if a Machiavellian, autistic, high-minded, Aquarian, Capricornian, Saturnian, evil genius with a life full of sex scandals suddenly decided to have a 180 and decided he like road to Damascus moment and he found Jesus Christ and he decided he was going to kill himself because he couldn't live with the shame and the regret of what he did, he wouldn't fucking do it by hanging himself in his jail cell. Okay, he would do it by shooting himself in the head or driving a car off a bridge or whatever. So we can see instantly just in the emotional like receptivity of the guy, he's not fucking killing himself in the manner suggested by the conventional story, right? Like, we know this. He is spiritual. In his interview, he talked about the soul. Damn. Okay, we got to get into this. And when pressed about being the devil, he talked about the mirror, which is a very old concept in facing one's demons. Jeffrey Epstein is mirror magic build. Bro, holy shit. It's going to be good. It's going to be good when we get into this stream. My little brother has the same sun, moon, Mercury, Saturn placement as Epstein. Can I trust him? In the same sign? In the same sign or just close to each other? Let me see. So your brother has the same sun, moon, Mercury, and Saturn. Sun, moon, Mercury, and Saturn. Yeah, you can trust him, but your brother's an intense guy. If you're really curious about it, send me his chart. I'm going to say something right now. You could trust Jeffrey Epstein. This isn't necessarily the chart of like a dishonest guy. That's what's funny about this. This is a chart of a very like a networker, a schemer, a like guy who plays the game. You've kind of got to respect, like, you know, as much as I don't respect this evil Jewish mafia and what they've been doing to the West for the past whatever, you kind of got to respect the individual and how they have managed to climb their way up through it from nothing. Your brother will probably have very shared similar traits to that. He'll probably be a hustler. Yeah, probably just kind of thinking about it. Grifter, but not necessarily someone you can't trust, as long as you acknowledge that they are what they are, which is a schemer, right? You could trust Jeffrey Epstein to be a snake. You could trust that Jeffrey Epstein is going to betray you. He's not going to give you one thing and then rug pull you. You can trust that Jeffrey Epstein really did care about the philanthropic causes that he was investing in. Why? I have no fucking idea. Why? Someone should really look into that. But I really do feel like he was genuinely motivated by like his own bizarre interest. Like him and Ghislaine really did take a submarine to try and find the lost city of Atlantis. You know what I mean? Weird fucking shit. My Venus Mars is conjunct in Gemini. Crazy the number of you who are saying you have Venus Mars conjunctions or Venus Mars squares. Fuck my chud cell audience. Fuck my chudded audience. No, I don't know. How is your relationship with women? Gemini to me imbues riz. There's a communicative aspect. I imagine you like mind games. I imagine you like mental fuckery. I imagine you have been in some really, really interesting relationship dynamics, actually, when you put it there. But I'd have to look at it, right? I'd have to see what else is going into it. What aspects play into it? Is it on an angle, etc., etc. There was no incentive to keep him alive. A lot more would have leaked had he been allowed to live. Yeah, I think so too. I think he might have been the kind of guy who would have been like, fuck these guys, I'm taking them down with me type beat. Why else do you kill someone? Well, you only kill someone because you know that you need to keep them silent for some reason. What were Ghislaine and Jeffrey gonna do? Who were they going to tell? Is this literally a case of like one group of less powerful elites trying to like rat out the other elites? I'm not even joking. There's a reason that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. You know what I mean? And yes, he's dead. The chart says so. Yeah, right. Now, perversions is something. This is so interesting that you bring this up, right? And I've actually seen Prosopa's Epstein reading. I thought it was fantastic. Very, very interesting because his astrology chimes perfectly with his physiognomy, as is often the case. There are some very, very educated guys on physiognomy in the Black Lodge. But his perversions are weird. His perversions are fucking strange. His perversions directly tie into his Vesta, which we know lined up with Ghislaine's core personality cluster. So that makes perfect sense that there'll be loads of perversions through Ghislaine. But his Lilith also sits opposite his part of spirit. So there is a conscience conflict in Jeffrey Epstein. There is a sense of remorse in Jeffrey Epstein. But he's not killing himself about it. That's I'll put it that way. The more trauma he causes others, the more insight he gains all at once. Brad, I hope that you're an active member of the lodge and you just have a different username, because that's exactly what I was trying to say earlier in a far more articulate and succinct way. Secretly, George is trying to triangulate the location of the USS Abraham Lincoln. Being obsessed with the truth makes sense because he cataloged everyone's secrets. Some part of him liked having the ability to reveal truth. Yeah, I think this is a guy who likes leverage on people. But I am shocked to not see any Scorpio placements. Genuinely. I'll say that much. I am genuinely shocked to not see so many Scorpio placements. I'm feeling like the overwhelming archetype is genius, eccentric, mad scientist, philanthropist, inventor, explorer, pervert, kinky freak, sex scandals follow the guy everywhere, super public mind and public persona, riddled with problems, Saturn squaring into the sun on the midheaven. But I'm not necessarily getting that impression of it. Like, I'm not getting the impression that he's like Machiavellian and evil with it. Very, very strange. Very, very strange. Just a question, but if you had 3 similar charts spread out before you and you had to guess which one was Epstein, do you think you could do it? I know I could do it. We play this game often in the Black Lodge. A couple of people will post charts in the Black Lodge blind, and they'll say, who do you think this is? And we can usually get in the ballpark. A couple of times I have shocked myself and those people in the VC by correctly identifying who it is. The most fun is when you pick 4 options, like on a poll. And you say, it's this person, this person, this person, this person. Because usually by process of elimination, you can say, well, it couldn't be this person, couldn't be that person. And then you get some really interesting hit rates. But no, our hit rates in the Black Lodge are insane. I'm trying to work out a way to quantify it and to show it to you how sick. There's people in the Black Lodge who are better at astrology than me. Like, we've come a long fucking way since we set this shit up. But yeah, I probably could do it, TBH. In Epstein's case, I'm familiar with the chart anyway, so it would be bad. But like, yeah, we do blind charts and guessing games, recharts all the time. We do guessing games in general. We also try and do remote viewing. I'm not even joking. We are based off the work of Ingo Swann. Every week in the Black Lodge, we do like how would you put it? Like a psi games, like a psi test where we put something in an envelope. Everyone tries to intuit what is in the envelope. And it's really funny seeing some of the answers that come back. A true dark magician would have been based, but was corrupted and obsessed beyond redemption. Yeah. I really do feel like that's it, especially with the Lilith playing in to the rest of it. Have Mars, Jupiter. I love how people just put shit. They're like, I have Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn in the 8th house. Wow. Okay. Well, you may leave the world in a very interesting way. Put it that way. Now you're the chart that's empty. Yo, I love it. Of all the characters, this guy's been playing like 20 different characters, and he comes and he laughs. It's like a different character every week. This one, the black football player Tyrone, my favorite one of your characters so far, unironically. She matched his freak. They're like a perfectly evil matched couple. The synastry is crazy, actually, right? I call them like lock and keys, because I'm fucking autodidact. I taught myself this shit. I don't actually know what they're called, right? But hits, I guess, when you have like someone's sun on someone's Mars or whatever. For Jeffrey and Ghislaine, there's a crazy amount of little lock and key hits, particularly in the asteroids, which I think is kind of funny. Let me just get rid of this. Boom. Mouse Cat, you got to join home. Let me see. Man, I appreciate that. I got gifted a membership last month, and I like the content so much I had to continue the membership. You know what's funny? I get this weird thing where I like delete a lot of videos because I'm like, they don't bang so hard, and like YouTube nerfs you if you don't get consistently good views and stuff. That's why I love having the members channel. But I think some of the best content is the content I used to delete, and instead of deleting it, now what I do is I put it behind the paywall. I actually prefer the content that's behind it, which is how it should be, right? Like normies get normie grade slop and like good shit goes behind the paywall. That's really what it should be. But we don't live in that world, you know, and sadly. Jean-Francois Garipi. Thank you, Andrew. Jean-Francois. Same signs. My brother is in fact a hustler. Yeah, it's pretty fucking evident, bro. It's pretty fucking evident. And so is Epstein. Can we give the nigga some credit? He's worked himself up from the slums. Okay, not like the Kimbasa, Nairobi, Kenya slums, but like the Jewish streets of Brooklyn. He's not a rich guy. He's not a Nepo baby. Okay. He's coming at it from, he really is, like, this really is a rags to riches success story. Jeffrey Epstein, really a living embodiment. Well, not living, really an embodiment of the American dream. Truly a person of all time. Truly a person of all time. He funded JF's channel called Neuro TV for neuroscience, which he started before he did podcasting. Holy shit. Jeffrey Epstein, if you're listening to me and you're still alive, please donate to my channel, bro. Come on, what the fuck? This is insane. Half the alt-right is funded. You can't give me some fucking money, Jeffrey? Holy shit. Jeffrey Epstein, the type of guy to still be alive in secret and be watching this right now. Just being honest. Jeffrey Epstein. Is it Dudemon? Is Dudemon secretly Jeffrey Epstein? Yo, you're a fucking legend. Fucking legend. Dudemon. Shit. Did I read the stream time wrong? I thought it was going to be at 2 a.m. No, I rug pulled you. I like to keep people guessing. I like to keep people on their toes. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey's on a vacation far away. Come around, ring Ghislaine over. So many things that I want to say. You know, I like my girls a little bit older. I just want to. Sorry. I'm being unprofessional. I'm sorry, guys. Please, it's late here. You know, like, woo. I am not a member of the lodge, but I've been a huge fan since I found out. Join. It's people like you that I want in the lodge. I don't want chuds. Bruh, I seen you've been active for such a long time in the comments. You're saying the coolest stuff. Like, holy shit. You know how many chuds I have to gatekeep out of the lodge on a daily basis? People think that by becoming a channel member, they just automatically get in the lodge. It's like, no, I need cool channel members that make me look good. Like Bat Joker 500 here, who just signed up, right? I need guys like this. And by the way, if you have no esoteric interest, no occult interest, no magical ability, and you just want to bitch about the Jews, every other group chat in the world, please? Like, do you have to be in my fucking group chat? Hyperborean knowledge told me I was kids. I love his content, by the way. He's blown up a lot. I actually love his content. I have mixed feelings about his content. I would love to interview him. I would love to, because on the one hand, I think he does say a lot of really interesting stuff, but on the other hand, I think he represents a kind of chud spirituality that I don't like, where they have a whole little bullshit narrative where they don't really believe in it, but it's like a LARP and it's fun to kind of think about as a thought experiment, but it's like they're denying real introspection. They're denying real like shit. So he kind of, I would love to talk to him. He's too praying to talk to me. I think he thinks I'm Mossad or something. You know what I mean? Gifted memberships go to subs with high channel activity. That is true. You watch, you stay watched, you watch it, you share it, you like it, you subscribe. I love you a long time. Like, you give me money. And then apparently, yeah, like that's how it works. It's really crazy. Why is the British right so lame in comparison to Jeff? Steve Laws looks like such a... Don't get me started on Steve Laws, okay? And you're right. Where is our Jeffrey Epstein to come and fund the British dissident? Right. Now we wait for the We Are All Jeffrey Epstein song to drop. Imagine Jeffrey Epstein's still alive, drinking a martini on the beach and laughing his ass off to the comments about him. Real. Jeff, if you're watching, buddy, I'll see you in Agatha. I'm like 30% chud, but mostly ironically based and fucking chud pilled. Listen, you're halfway there. If you can accept that you are a chud, bruh, if you can accept you're a chud, that's half the work, isn't it? You know, fucking chud out a bit. Chud out a bit and get it out of your system. Have a little chud. Like, go in the morning and meditate, chud out a little bit. Don't do this thing where you jump on Telegram and you surround yourself with a bunch of other chuds and you pick up that chud energy and chud frequency and you allow that chud fucking energy to penetrate your auric field, right? Don't surround yourself with other chuds that will validate you and your chuddiness. Go violently masturbate first thing in the morning, right? And go for a run. Maybe do those things in the other way around. But like, hit the day fucking run. Start the morning with a photo of just like something that makes you chud the fuck out and just like punch it. Get the chud out, get the chud rage out of your system. Better still, channel the chud rage into learning something useful like astrology. Joe Kemp becomes a channel member. Holy shit, Joe. Please answer my questions. Oh, damn. He's like, I had to become a member just to get you to answer my fucking questions. Joe, I will absolutely answer your questions. All right, Nick, because you've become a member. And he's saying, I don't have Telegram. Okay. Did you say the questions? Are they above, Joe? Do I have to scroll back to find the questions? Isn't it funny how I'm very responsive when you give me money? It's kind of crazy. Jeffrey did not see his victims as people. The crimes he committed to him, he saw his crimes as the equivalent of stamping on ants. Yes, there is a Jewish supremacist mentality that runs completely through the emails. There is the word goyim is used unironically, intentionally, and derogatorily in the emails. It's also used sometimes jokingly. But bear in mind that Jeffrey Epstein is someone who has spent a lot of time on 4chan. I'll tell you this about his chart, just looking at his chart now. This is the chart of someone who gets it. This is the chart of someone who gets it in terms of being based, quote unquote. This is someone who would understand demographic replacement. Now, obviously, he might be on the wrong side of it, but he would definitely understand that it's happening. This is the chart of like a race realist. because the Aquarius is not close. It's not fully enough in the Aquarius to give him the hippy dippy love of Aquarius. And his Mercury, his rational mind, is in Capricorn, the most racist sign. So unlike many Aquarians with their Mercury drifting into Pisces, that end up being these hippy dippy humanitarian save the world type Aquarius people, with a Mercury in Capricorn, he's going to be a fucking like, how do we fix the world? Billions must die kind of person. Jeffrey Epstein, different loadout, different time. Chud. Could have chudded out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I ain't got no gift. Well, comment more, interact more, engage more with the fucking. What do you want me to tell? What do you want me to say? Holy shit. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Please answer my questions. Joe, I'm scrolling around. I don't see the questions, Joe. Oh, I was asking something to the effect of charts, if born in the southern hemisphere, is it going to be wrong if we use the traditional Western system? No, it won't. If you were born in Australia and you're a Capricorn, you're still a Capricorn. I don't understand why or how this works, but I've seen enough charts of people born at the extremities of the earth to know it to be true. However, you will be a different type of Capricorn. It will have a different flavor to it. Let me explain. In astrology, we have something called sect. And sect is one of the key principles in traditional Hellenistic astrology, like the way the ancient Greeks used to do it. The sect is about whether the chart is a day chart or a night chart. Mr. Epstein here having the most day chart of all possible day charts, born right at high noon in the middle of the day. A day chart normally makes for a prominent person, a public person. A night chart makes for a more secret person, a more reclusive person. Can you be famous and have a night chart? Yes, but you're more likely to be infamous rather than famous. Look at Aleister Crowley and where his sun is in his chart. There's a huge difference, right, with day chart and with night chart. And this is really the crux of your question. This is what you're actually referring to when you say, like, is my chart different because I'm born in Australia? Yes, but not by sign, right? You're still a Capricorn, but you're a day Capricorn as opposed to a night Capricorn or vice versa. And this will imbue the rest of your chart in really big ways with different things, with different aspects, with different flavors. For example, there is a dominant benefic planet and a dominant malefic planet in a chart, depending on whether it's day or whether it's night. So Venus, for example, she's a lot more helpful at night in a night chart. Makes sense, right? She's the morning star. She's the evening star. She's when the sun is away. Saturn is much more malefic, I believe, in the day. Mars is much more malefic, I believe, in the night. And this kind of stuff all has to be factored in. I think people in the modern Hellenistic astrology world, I do think people give too much weighting, are starting to give too much weighting to sect. I think there's a reason that we dropped it since the Greeks. But of course it matters. Of course, whether somebody is born at night matters. Just like it matters whether they're born under a full moon or born under an eclipse, right? Like, I hope this answers your question. Once you get out of the chud cave, they won't take you back anyway. Good. Fuck them. You don't need them. They're dragging you down with their dark fucking chud aura. I'm an Aquarius with Mercury in Capricorn. I won't elaborate on my thoughts further. You don't need to. You don't need to, because I know that you completely understand what I'm saying. Is Capricorn the most racist? Yes, it's the most racist. All of the earth signs are racist. If you have a sun, a Mercury, or a moon in an earth sign, you might have been a bit racist, particularly Capricorn and Taurus, because Virgo could be a little bit prissy. The Virgo will discriminate, but they'll do it in their head. Capricorn and Taurus, the big time racist signs. If it racist for different reasons, Capricorn just knows how it is. It's just based in reality. It's the earth. It's material. It's like, yeah, they're different. Cope about it. One group has an IQ of 80. One group has an IQ of 120. Cope about it, right? Taurus, it's more like they get the ick. They're very possessive over their country and homeland and stuff. And they're very like, get out of my back garden, like, I don't want to change. I don't like change. They're very stubborn. You see racism in Cancer too, coincidentally opposite Capricorn, right? Because the paternal, maternal nature of those two signs. But Cancerian racism is a lot more like wet and soppy. It's the sensitive young man who reads Friedrich Nietzsche. I would say, hot take, most racist sign, Capricorn, Taurus, Cancer. Least racist sign, Libra. It usually offends them. It's too tacky for their sense of aesthetics. Gemini, they're too easy to understand things from multiple viewpoints. Too easy for a Gemini to put themselves in the mind of the immigrant, for example. And Pisces way too wet and emotional and like understanding of the other, right? If Pisces are going to be racist, they're going to be racist for really emotional reasons. Aquarius somewhere towards the less racist in the case of Mr. Epstein here, but it's this Capricorn Mercury, which makes me think that, if you know what I mean. 1 second, I just got to charge my computer. Yeah, Capricorn most racist. Epstein gave us a huge clue as to what the next scheme is in the Bannon interview. Well, I look forward to watching it with you guys. Fuck, okay. Let's get locked the fuck in, shall we, lads? We're going to be here all night. Jeff said in the emails that he found brown people to be more disgusting than what? When am I ever wrong? When am I ever fucking wrong? I mean, we knew he was a racist anyway because of the Jewish supremacy. When am I ever fucking wrong, bro? Browns was disgusting to whites to the point he said he couldn't see himself having sex with one. So he says. May have contradicted this elsewhere. I love it. The disciples of Epstein in the future will argue about what he said in the scrolls when those emails become scripture, and they're like, actually, the prophet Epstein in verse 100, the prophet Epstein says, "Thou shalt not be racist." Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? I am a Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Mercury, but I am not a full-on chud. Well, that's it, isn't it? Too much Cancer, too much nurturing, too much maternal stuff, and you'll start feeling sorry and. Man, you'll start feeling like you even have to look after other groups from other cultures. Yeah, it's not, like I say, the earth signs are racist in a real, tangible, visceral way. I know I have a Taurus moon, right? Water signs, it's not the same kind of racism, right? It's actually the Cancer is racist because they love their country, not because they hate the other, right? There's a real difference. More often than not, they might manifest as them being chuddy and posting in a Telegram group chat, but you know. Am I so cursed with Pluto and Sagittarius? No, sweetheart, no. Every single person in your generation, every Zoomer fag has Pluto in Sagittarius. Pluto moves very slowly. It's a generational planet. It's why your generation is high-minded, looking for ideology, looking for a belief system, looking for a protocol. It's why you've all returned to Jupiterian Christianity and the Orthodox Church, right? It's why you're all yearning and aching to be told what to believe. You need direction. Your sex and death drive, which is Pluto, is in Sagittarius, is ruled by Jupiter. You are looking to be told what to think by daddy, by Jupiter. It's hard to have your Pluto in Sagittarius, but don't worry, buddy. You've all got it. You're all Zoomer faggots. Millennials had their Pluto in Scorpio, much more dark and ruled by Mars. We fucked. We took drugs. We partied. Different generation, totally different generation. No, you're not cursed any more than every other Zoomer is the answer to that question. I thought Cancer was a very racist sign with this whole in-group thing. It is usually. But again, you've got to look at what plays into it, right? Again, this is why you have to read a chart in context, because there are mitigating factors to some things. You could have a Cancer moon, a Cancer Mercury, but what if the Cancer moon is fallen in a really bad house, completely unaspected to anything else in the chart? What if the moon is in Cancer, but you have no water in your chart, meaning you don't have a lot of emotions anyway? Well, the chance of you getting emotional and shutting out and having a Cancer moon moment significantly diminished if you don't have any water in your chart to begin with. That's why I say, when I look at these things, and I don't tell you guys this bit because unless you're learning from me, because it's useless information when I'm trying to analyze like Jeffrey Epstein's natal chart. But no joke, the first thing I do when I look at a chart is I schizopost. I look at the shape. Like, what do the aspects make like a geometric pattern? It's very much like a language of God kind of thing. Can I see diamonds? Can I see squares? Can I see a Star of David? Really, in astrology, we refer to this as a seal of Solomon, 6 sextiles connected all the way around. Can I, various patterns in there, yods or fingers of God, as they're so called. And then I look at elements. I look at like, well, is this an air person? Is this a fire person? Is this a water person? Before I even get into signs and houses, I just not, we're past teaching you guys that stuff. You know what I mean? At this point. I'm so cursed with the same Pluto as literally everyone else. Exactly. What the fuck? Capricorn here. Can confirm. Capricorn. It's such a Capricorn thing. Just busting like, yep. That's it. Yep. Makes money right now. What the fuck? Those are my other signs. I'm woke. Secretly. I'm gonna red pill you guys. If you're let's say you're a Capricorn sun, but you have every other personality planet in Pisces. Capricorn sun, every other personality planet in Pisces, performative, racist LARPer. Performative, racist LARPer. Really in themselves, all the little parts of themselves are Piscean, but their ego, their ego, how they see themselves, the personality they project out into the world, like the sun, is Capricornian. What does that tell you? Bitch made in private, right? Stoic and cold in public. Which is why also you see a lot of people with Pisces suns I know a lot of masculine men with Pisces suns because they have other placements, like, real old school masculine guys who work with their hands, think in a stoic, reserved, masculine way. Pisces suns, because they have other placements in Aquarius and Capricorn and things that make them more hard-edged, right? You got to take the whole chart into consideration. Couldn't the Gemini put themselves in the mind of the ruling class too? Yeah, I can. And that's why I say I have great respect and admiration for Jeffrey Epstein. Not for what he did and the disgusting crimes that he committed, but for being a guy who can take himself out of Brooklyn in the 1950s and make himself into a guy who can pull the strings on global governance and, is so successful at doing so that he got whacked by some elite person that he had leverage on. Allegedly. I'm Pisces and racist, not emotionally. Cope. I've seen too many. It's so funny. Cope. And this is the thing. Here's the red pill. Here's the true red pill. A lot of these guys will never see further than their sun signs. People are so consumed by their egos today. People live in a narcissistic mirror pool of feedback, right? Where they literally, I'm Pisces and I'm racist and I mean it, bro. Who are you trying to kid? The fact that you had to type that in the chat proves me right. The fact that you had to type that in the chat proves that you're a performative LARPer. Fuck. Got him. No, Coco. Depends on your definition of chud. Now we're getting into an endless thing about what chuds are. The chat is boring me. Okay, let's find this Bannon interview to watch, shall we? To my understanding, it's in two parts. Film. We're going to need to turn ad blocker on for this one. As far as I understand it was filmed over 2 or maybe even more sequential consecutive days, right? So it's not one sit-down interview. It's a compilation of interviews for a documentary that I believe Steve Bannon was making, right, about Jeffrey Epstein. Let's see, shall we? Oh, okay. Give me a second. Shit doesn't want to work. Okay, I'll try and fix this when I share the screen. Natal chart, let me get rid of that. And let me show you guys this. Question is, can you hear it? That's the question. I'm going to try. Yeah, you should be able to hear this. Now, there's 2 parts to this, right? There's the part where he's wearing the white shirt and the part where he's wearing the black shirt. The white shirt stuff, from what I can gather, is just boomer red pills about fractional reserve banking. And the fact that, like, yeah, see, he admitted it. The fuck. It's finance stuff. It's, oh my God, we can print $10 when we only have $1 in reserve. Oh my God, we run the world finance, blah, blah, blah. It's, yeah. The black shirt stuff is where you get into the esoterics. The black shirt stuff seems to be, from the few clips that I've seen, where Mr. Epstein starts going into, and what was the stuff you were talking about earlier? Whoever said that, like God and stuff, spirituality, the soul. In Epstein's final interview in his home, he revealed that he himself was a member of the Trilateral Commission, and that was where he met Bill Clinton. Can't wait for chat that has never heard his voice. Yeah, so many people making comments about the voice. Many people making comments about the voice. And where do we see the voice in astrology? In the interplay between Venus and Mercury. Beauty and how someone actually speaks. So we see pretty dramatically aspected Mercury, probably quite a harsh sounding voice. To me, he sounds like the older Jewish New York finance guy. Really, that's what he sounds like. I think people expect him to sound like fucking Darth Vader or some shit because of how Machiavellian he is. Probably I will join the lodge after my next paycheck, not gonna lie. Yeah, bro, I appreciate everyone is in different levels. It's the first thing you can ask us about when you get in there is money magic, and we can help with that. But there's a members tier that's like cheap as shit. There's literally a tier called plebeian tier for people who like can't afford a big monthly membership fee. We're looking for people with high magicka. We're not looking for people with high money, right? Although it helps, I'm not gonna lie. Thank you, bro. I really appreciate that. That means the world. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Let's watch a little bit of the white shirt bit first while I go pee, and then we'll get back and we'll look at the deep stuff, the good stuff.
To give some basics or some things.
Drop an evil eye emoji if you can hear this.
I want to do inquiry from the others. Walk me through the Santa Fe Institute. What was it about the time of the math? And this was in the late 90s. So they're not going to hear me on this part, right? We're going to do it both ways?
It will not be on the video, but we do have you recorded.
Fine. Remember, when you're answering on these questions, I'm not in the shot, and they're never going to hear my voice. So a little bit, you got to repeat in your answer, you got to repeat what my question was.
Oh, well, okay.
I swear to God, it was you posing evil eyes like managed to fit. Bro, so many evil eyes. And then I hope you guys know that your combined magic managed to bring the stream back to life. Like, that's actually insane. That's actually fucking insane. Holy shit. Yeah, keep it up with the eyes, man. Holy fuck. Where were we? I apologize. Whew. Have to chop that bit out in the middle. Jeez.
Santa Fe Institute. Why, when you're at the top of your game on Wall Street, do you decide to finance, which was at the time, or endow, or become the donor or sponsor, however you want to say it, for what was considered the most cutting edge group of mathematicians in the world? Action.
So Santa Fe Institute in the late 80s, early 90s, I was interested, I was on the board of Rockefeller. So that starts, Rockefeller University, formed by John D. Rockefeller to sort of give back to the community. It's east side of Manhattan, except it was old. It was sort of old-fashioned. They were talking about medicine, and medicine by itself was, again, subject to the ideas of science. They were trying to use science to find cures for disease. And I said, no, we need to do something different. We need to start interdisciplinary work.
Holy shit.
How did a
Bill Nye, the Soviet spy. I am so immensely fucking grateful. Thank you so much, dude. Your donor is very much appreciated. It's about time the Russian government gave me money, huh? It's about fucking time that the Russian government gave me money. Hey, some other fun fact from the revelations on Friday. Fucking Putin. Jeffrey Epstein, previously for a period of time, a financial advisor to Vladimir fucking Putin.
Schmuck like you get on the board of Rockefeller. What year was that?
I don't remember. I think 89 and 91.
So that's one of the most prestigious research places in the world, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How did a guy like you get on the board of a blue
collar guy at 30 years old? It's an interesting question, isn't it?
blood, internationally known, hard research, Nobel Prize winners all over the place. How do they pick a guy like you, a trader from, or basically some guy from Bear Stearns?
Good question. So I was asked to be on the board of Rockefeller, and I think I was on the board of Rockefeller. There was a money manager who said Rockefeller needs someone with financial expertise because the university is growing and there's lots of new things. You have to, again, we go back to the original discussion the last time. Up until the mid 80s or sort of early mid 70s, the most important thing was your name. If you were Rockefeller, you already were considered to be brilliant. If you were head of General Motors, it was your reputation. It was who you knew, who your family was, what was your character. And then in the mid 70s, basically, if you remember, you probably had a calculator.
Bro, what did we see? We saw Pholus on the midheaven. We saw the sun on the midheaven. What does that tell us? We saw a guy who was going to be incredibly public and prominent and well-known and famous and successful with the sun on the midheaven, with his Mercury right by the sun on the midheaven. His ideas are going to be worldwide. He's going to be out there in the public, moving and shaking. And Pholus right there next to it, meaning small causes, big things. So, Jeffrey, how did you get yourself onto the board at Rockefeller or whatever at 30 years old? Good question. He doesn't fucking know. So much lucky chance shit must have happened to this guy that even he doesn't know how he stumbled at 30 something years old onto the board of the Rock. Fucking hell.
Calculator. It was very advanced in those days to have it.
He's literally doing that boomer thing where he's like, back in the day we had calculators. Holy shit.
Texas Instrument calculator, where it could, by putting in the numbers, it would multiply for you to do square roots. And that was the first, and everyone who had a calculator was already advanced on Wall Street. A simple almost like your accountant. The most important parts
try to make it relatable to the common man, like your accountant, like
business, we're really now going to calculations. So it's not only mathematics, but it's things that could be calculated. Reputation couldn't be calculated. I could give you, are you a 10 on a reputation scale, an 8? What does it mean to have a measurement of your reputation?
Now, how does a 32-year-old guy who's good at crunching numbers but never been to a school and doesn't come from a Nepo family get themselves on the board? Well, I guess they represent money, don't they? Rockefeller couldn't have been managing the money of a bunch of Jewish criminals that Epstein had already ingratiated himself with as their numbers guy, could he? Hey, Epstein wasn't the quant for a big Jewish crime network, was he? That they just put on the board of Rockefeller? No, that couldn't have happened. That sounds too fucking good to be true.
We'll get to that later. But places like Rockefeller needed someone to say, look, we're entering a different world.
Rockefeller didn't have anyone to do maths. So of course they brought me in.
When numbers and the numbers of companies.
This is why I understand why people say, when a lot of the first Epstein testimonies started coming out, people started saying shit. Oh fuck, I should probably cam up, huh? People started saying shit he doesn't talk like a normal finance guy. He talks weird. He doesn't talk like you'd expect a finance guy to talk. He talks like he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. He's just talking about calculators and numbers like a guy who's never. I see what people mean. Like, I see what they mean. I don't think they're right, but I see why they thought that.
Portfolio management was going to be balanced. It was going to be statistical. Jeffrey, could you come on the board? Potentially sit on the finance committee. Nancy Kissinger and a bunch of other people.
Holy shit.
And David Rockefeller and I got along very well. He was this unbelievable human being. Respectful to everyone. He introduced his driver as his colleague, not his driver. He would never say, "This is my driver." He said, "It's my colleague."
Okay, well, I'm not really in the mood to hear him glaze all of the different people who put him where he is today. But let's just see. Mystery people in power. What's the mystery people who run the world?
It's called the Trilateral Commission.
Ah.
The Trilateral Commission is some spooky stuff. People said it was some of the people that the Illuminati. There's some mystery about it. People that ran the world. It was politicians, but David said most countries, the politicians get elected for 4 years or 8 years, separate from the royal families in England or in the Middle East. Someone's there for 4 years and then they're not there anymore. The most
4 years. He's there for 4 years and not there anymore.
important people to have stability.
Literally describing the deep state, by the way. Literally describing the existence of the deep state and his proximity to it, but the fact that he's not actually in it, but the fact that he works for rich, powerful financial interests that want to operate in it, right? That want to meddle in it. You start to see how the fixer, the power broker kind of comes together, how the character is made a little bit.
Stability and consistency would be businessmen. So he formed this Trilateral Commission of businessmen.
Well, every time you hear businessmen, I want you to think gangsters. Okay, guys? Every time you hear businessmen, I want you to think gangsters.
And politicians from 3 major continents. So it was the North Americans, the Europeans, and the Asians. So he said to me, "Would you like to be on the Trilateral Commission?" Now, I was 30 years old, 32 years old. I said, "Great." And he said, "Well,
real, so real, holy shit.
You have to fill out this application so they have your bio." And I looked at the list of people.
Listen,
and
Trump, same. You know how I knew that Trump was New York Jewish mafia? You know how I knew that Trump was in proximity to the New York Jewish mafia? Tremendous. Now, hear me out. Trump uses the word tremendous, and he uses it a tremendous amount. Nobody uses the fucking word tremendous except for New York City Jewish people. I swear, tremendous. Holy shit. Go and type in Trump tremendous on YouTube and just watch a compilation of all the times Trump has said tremendous. Look at his body language and tell me he's not coming from exactly the same world. The tenor, the cadence, the vocal patterns. Damn, bro. I'm not saying Trump is Jewish, by the way. I'm just saying that he's very much in his world, in that world, and his daughter's Jewish, married to Jared Kushner. This is not crazy conjecture, guys.
Bill Clinton, former president of the United States.
Oh, it's getting kinky.
Paul Volcker, every great leader in America, the Asians, the Japanese, and with a very long description of their history. And they asked me to fill in what I would like to have written. And I wrote Jeffrey Epstein, comma, just a good kid. I thought it was funny. Nobody else did.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, he's rizzing me up a little bit. I'm falling under his charm a little bit.
So answer to your question, at that time I recognized around the world that monies and currencies were not really well understood. But again, it was only numbers. So numbers, and I'll get to the fact that it was bad thinking. Numbers are very good.
Are most people that you meet, even on Trilateral Commission, when you meet most people, do you find most leaders financially illiterate, economically illiterate?
Most political leaders don't come out of a background of finance. Most political leaders come out of a background of being popular. So in some of the countries, in some of the African countries, for example, they might have been a military person. They were a general. In some of the African countries, they might have been a disc jockey, or in our country, they would have been an actor.
Bruh, he's met all of them. He's met all of them. He's had the president of Angola, the prime minister of Brazil, the fucking Il Duce of fucking Peru. Like, bro, you just, the levels of connection and leverage and blackmail. Like,
The knowledge of money isn't, they don't have expertise, they have no degrees in finance. They really, and this is one of the major problems. Their expertise, if they have any financial knowledge, is of their own checking account or bank account and filling in their own taxes.
Yeah, it's just going to be more like boomer red pills, where it's like, you know, debt to you and me is bad, but debt to rich people is good. And actually, you know, rich people have cracked the code and don't have a fear of debt. Yeah, like fractionalized reserve banking, yada, 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 yada. Career at Bear Stearns. What the fuck have I done? Bannon pushes again. Let's try this. Man, I really should have put that fucking ad blocker on, huh? Okay, here we go.
Have been an actor. The knowledge of money isn't, they don't have expertise. Fast forward, Steve, to today, where Google and these other engine companies, the other tech companies, are trying to build artificial intelligence. The strangest thing that they found, one of the strangest things, is that the systems that they design, this artificial intelligence, which a lot of people have heard about, is they design a bunch of systems that...
It's the most Aquarian guy. This is the most Aquarian guy. Holy shit.
Called neural nets. The term simply taken out of brain work, neurons in the brain.
When you go through the emails, right, what you see is just the most like, I'm trying not to glaze Jeffrey Epstein, genuinely. I'm trying to find a way to like be euphemistic about this where it doesn't seem like I'm just glazing Jeffrey Epstein. But you see the most like fascinating, intriguing, well-connected, well-rounded guy who knows a lot about philosophy and art and culture and politics and like very well-rounded guy. It's like hard to explain. Like finance, obviously. You know, he's up to date with cutting edge AI technology research and neural networks. And like, you know, this is not a new interview. This is from fucking time ago. Like
the brain, nets because they actually look like a net. They put in some inputs. The computers work, spit out an answer. Sounds normal to you.
Air signs. Air signs are the yappers, right? The Libras, the Geminis, the Aquarius. These are the yap. These are the people who are fluent in Japanese. These are the people who really understand the supply side of Japanomics, all right?
Because you're thinking about that calculator you had in 1976 on your desk. When you ask the person who designed the system, how did it come to that answer? How did your neural net, can you show me the calculations? They say, no, we don't know. We don't know how the thing we designed actually came up with that answer. That's pretty strange.
Have you seen what the plan for Gaza is? Have you seen what the plan for the rebuild of Gaza is and what it looks like? A modern, cosmopolitan, smart city where everything is tracked and everything is surveilled, and Palantir monitors a CCTV surveillance grid 24 hours a day with waterfront property. Like you have no...
Strange. They take the same neural net now and they put it in front of a video game. No learning, nothing. They said to the computer, they say, sit in front of your video game and learn how to play. It seems the computer learns better than any human in history, faster than any human in history, beats any human in history. But when you ask the designer, how did it do it? No one knows. It just did it. So that's the first little touch of things that we already have gotten to a place where we don't understand it and we built it.
On Sunday afternoon, September 14th, 2008, where were you?
Sorry?
It was the night they put Lehman Brothers in bankruptcy in London.
I was in jail.
He knew exactly where he was when he was asked that question. Wow, that was very glib and superficial.
Seriously?
Yes.
So the financial crisis of 2008 happened when you were in jail?
Yes.
Oh, this is going to be so amazing. This is going to be so amazing. I take it you didn't have your Wall Street Journal dropped off to you in the morning, your Financial Times.
No.
How did you hear about how did you hear about, because I want
I forgot about this, but yes.
I'm trying to get, this is going to be amazing. This is, let's go back and do that again. Sunday afternoon, because I want to find out about people, the geniuses understanding the complexity of the financial system. Because I think the best example.
Holy glazing from Steve Bannon. Holy shit. By the way, that's your right-wing ethno-nationalist savior, by the way, guys. That's your right-wing ethno-nationalist savior glazing the fuck out of Jeffrey Epstein there. Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're definitely not being radicalized to be used by nationalist governments to do World War III. Chill, guys, chill. It's all fine.
Example we have.
Steve Bannon glazing Jeffrey Epstein there in a one-on-one interview.
Financial crisis, the crash of 2008. Sunday afternoon, September 14th, I think it was, 2008.
He was not in jail. He had to go to jail on the weekend. Well, it was a Sunday. Dude. I don't know what you expect me to say. You think Jeffrey Epstein's going to go to normie jail with the normie goyim, bro? Come on.
Is when they were working feverishly in Midtown Manhattan at the Lehman Brothers offices and at various law firms around town, and with the Secretary of Treasury in the Federal Reserve, what they're going to do with Lehman. They decided they weren't going to save it. And so they prepared to put it into bankruptcy at the open of the market in London the next day. How did you hear about what was going to happen to Lehman Brothers, and what did you immediately think when you heard that it was going to be put into bankruptcy?
I'm glad you asked that question. I was in solitary confinement September 14th. And again, some of the public stories about the wonderful time I had in jail.
Right. This is the kind of mind. Look, when I tell you guys, Aquarius and Capricorn, smart signs, okay? Gemini, sure. Virgo, sure. Mercurial intelligence is hard to beat, but there's something incredible in the minds of Aquarian and Capricornian people, right? They understand systems, they understand structure, they build things that endures. Epstein is tempering himself right there. He just was about to use the word unbeknownst. He was about to say the word unbeknownst, as in unbeknownst to me, but he checked himself because he knows that the everyman does not understand the word unbeknownst. Like, this is very carefully crafted. A genuine surprise to have not seen any Scorpio placements.
And my work release, which didn't come till months after, I'd been there since June, in an 8x10 cell with a bed in the back, a 6-foot bed in the back, a
Saturn Libra though, right? Like a charm is coming through, yeah.
Chrome sink with a toilet attached to it, and a little piece of metal sticking out that was supposed to act as a table. Now, since I was in jail, there were no books. Why? There's no library. No library, but you're in jail. No, I was in jail, not prison. So in jail, I was in a place what's called the Special Housing Unit, which is for the roughest, toughest, meanest people. They had put me there, they said, for my own protection. So I was in a 8x10 cell with a little slit in the door where they would serve my food on a tray about 9 inches by 4 inches.
Oh my God, boo-hoo, Jeffrey. Okay, I'm bored of this already. Jail in the crisis, yada, yada, yada. We're still in the white. This is very much in the white shirt phase, right? Like, I'm telling you, the good shit is in the black shirt. Bill Clinton, subprime mortgages. Guys, I would suggest you go through this all in your own time. I will be. I'll be binging all of it in my own time, but like, we're streaming right now and we want to stick to the esoterics. Fascinating is the life story of this guy. Oh, you sound like an astrologer. What? Huh? You sound like an Yo, lock the fuck in, lads. Lock in. We're about to get, we might be about to see Jeffrey Epstein denying astrology.
Was the subject?
You sound like an astrologer.
Okay.
and not a finance person.
You're supposed to be a mathematician. It just seems to me a pattern of every 10 years.
Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? We're going to go back and we're going to watch it again. Holy shit, let's full screen that shit. Let's look at the face. Let's look at the facial expression.
Was the subject?
You sound like an astrologer.
Okay.
And not a finance.
You see that little twitch in the left eye? That was so interesting. Holy shit.
Businesses fail all the time.
But they long-term capital, the Federal Reserve stepped in.
But I'm saying people go bad. Things go bad all the time.
Yes, you're correct. The audience is watching this, the little guys, they go bankrupt all the time and nobody gives a shit. You know why? They're a little guy. But when long-term capital management goes bankrupt, or Bear Stearns goes bankrupt, or Lehman Brothers goes bankrupt, people care because it's
an unfair characterization.
Why do you say that?
Because again, it's the complexity of the situation. If you think about you have a complex system, you have your body. Now, in fact, the little guy is my finger. This is
Bear Stearns is your heart.
That's correct. The banking system is my heart. The system, I can't risk my because remember, it's not only my.
You haven't been able to name.
Hang on.
You haven't.
Hang on. No, hang on. I was trying to hang. I wanted to see if the hang on worked.
No. You haven't been able. You're not good enough yet. You're like junior wizard trying to do it.
Junior wizard trying to do. You're like a junior wizard trying to do it.
You haven't. Yes. I'll say, since we can't name another guy that's as good as you. There may be a couple out there. You're not bragging. You're humble. It had to be sometime. Please tell me there was some time before you went to jail and basically got cut off from daily information in the summer of 2008 that you started to get very nervous that this complex system, that something was deeply wrong.
Okay, first, let's go back. When I say,
you know what pizza is, and you know what pizza is code for, and you know what the triangle with the spiral in the middle of it represents, Kimberly, you know these things. You know these things.
No one understands the system better than I do. It doesn't mean I understand.
You always sound like a doctor. You're afraid he's going to get sued for giving a thing.
Yes,
you're not taking on any liability. There's no contingent liability here for your answers.
No. But the word understand is the problem. Okay. I don't understand the system. So I don't understand the financial system.
Please stop. You cannot sit here and tell me. No. What we just went through, I'll go through again. The hedge fund managers, the money managers, the central bankers, the commercial bankers, the heads of the investment banks, the heads of all the trading desks, the top economists, and I'll throw in the business school lecturers at Stanford. Of all the top 200, 250, you can't name at the top of your head the guys are at least at your level. You have to understand it somewhat.
No. Sorry. We all don't understand it. No one understands it. It's a miracle.
Bro, he's saying nobody knows how finance works, and then he's about to make a fucking you sound like an astrologer. This is amazing.
It's this that's part of the problem. It's impossible to understand. That word understand simply means if this happens here, that will happen there. It's predictable. Understanding means it's predictable. It's not predictable. That's the problem. It's in complex systems, that was the fascination. Is there a way to tease out?
And that's what astrology is, by the way. It's a complex system. And that's why you can't predict, or you shouldn't. You could only have a forecast. Some fucking accurate forecasts, though.
Some level of predictability.
So
in fact, you would ask the question. It's a great question, which was it a stroke or a heart attack? Now, most people don't know that before they were going to have a stroke, they had a stroke. They just have a stroke. Do they understand why? In hindsight, you go back and you can make lots of explanations. It might sound good. And if you're talking to the working man, you're using language that he'll never understand. It's complex. So he, just like going to his doctor, he says he has a gastrointestinal problem, or he has diverticulitis, as opposed to saying, you had a stomach ache, you ate bad food. People don't like to say it in normal, everyman terms. The system had a stroke, and we don't know why.
But you just, okay. Hardworking people, and there's a great social benefit, would you not agree, with having people having ownership in the system?
When you say ownership in the system, it doesn't mean.
Let's start over.
Okay.
So flip over your phone too, because
yes.
I don't want anyone to see
yeah.
on your phone. So maybe flip it down or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows what the fuck comes up with that phone?
That's correct.
Which one has sent you?
KSA.
I can't not believe I've got the magic moment when you're in fucking prison or jail, wherever the fuck it is.
It's
in
crazy.
solitary.
Now, there's a funny part to that we missed, which is said.
Go ahead, tell it.
The funny part is what you asked me.
Is there anything funnier than that?
No,
For black humor,
I don't make any black comments. Sorry. You asked me what I was wearing.
That's right. You're too wrapped up in the Me Too movement.
Yes.
Bro, I don't make any black comments. I'm sorry. That's fascinating. Where's the bit? People were saying that there was a bit about him being like, there's a bit about him talking about like IQ differences between the races or something. Well, I'm sure you've seen it, but like, that wouldn't surprise me at all if that was true. Because like, yeah, man.
So I was wearing a brown
Capricorn Mercury
jumper and a brown pair of pants given to me by the jail with the word trustee on the back.
Because you had qualified to be a trustee?
Well, the funny part was it was spelled TRUSTY. So I wasn't really sure. I'd been a trustee in many different operations, but it was the first time it was actually printed on my back and spelled incorrectly.
Probably had a higher level of being a trustee at that than you had at all the boards that you were trustees, right?
Yes, because the trustee meant you get two devices to clean your toilet as opposed to one.
Yeah, but it also meant that you had some sort of personal fiduciary own responsibility for oneself, right?
In the jail?
Well, that's what being a trustee is. That's where they give you two.
Yes, you get two cleaners. I was a trustee in the jail because I was able to teach some of the kids to help them get their GED. So that's how they gave me a trustee job.
There's no time. I got to go back to this because I'm like a dog with a bone in this thing.
Yes.
You can't. There's something deeply fucked up with you.
At least something.
Well, we know there are things deeply fucked up with this. You will get through in this film,
right.
But.
Bruh. I'm stealing that. Like I'm straight up stealing that. There's something deeply fucked up with you. Like that's such a.
You cannot possibly have to sit there knowing that you came from nowhere, knowing that you went to the very top of what is considered outside of science and maybe physics, the thing people most admire because it's like alchemy, understanding high finance. To sit there in what will be the defining financial crisis of our time, like Black Friday or Black Monday, whatever it was, in the Great Depression, and be there at that exact moment, triggered in part by a firm that you used to be a partner in and knew intimately well, and it created much of your initial net worth because of, and know that you couldn't, someone who lives on a phone, right?
Yes.
Because you do live on a phone, right?
Correct.
You had to make just two collect calls. You cannot tell me sometime during that day you did not have that conversation with yourself of how the fuck did I do this to myself to put myself in West Palm Beach in a 6x9 cell with a metal fucking bed with a brown shirt that said trustee spelled wrong.
So did I find it amazing that I was there? That's
not amazing. And I don't want to say it was not funny. Oh, I thought
I wasn't funny.
Right. But not amazing.
It was incredible.
Incredible in what way? Incredible, like how do I do this to myself?
No. It's as incredible as me sitting here in this house. They're both just two sides of the coin. That's how I think about it. That my life today is incredible.
Do you consider
Folus on the midheaven, bro?
Consider yourself a stoic?
No. I consider myself a hermit. Stoics are not very happy.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. He's telling, oh shit, that's like a magical reference for those with eyes to see. For those with eyes to see. I'm not a stoic. Look at that grin. He does this grin every time he talks about shit. Like he did that exact same face when he was talking about astrology. Bro, I'm telling you. Think about what you just said. No, I'm not a stoic. I'm not a stoic. I'm a hermit. because Stoics don't seem to be very happy. Like, oh, bro, there's deep esoteric. Told you, man, Epstein with the esoterics.
Being a hermit, then, being in that 6x9 cell, being in the cell, qua the cell, was not the problem, right?
Correct.
What was the problem?
The eating the almond joy bars.
Because you couldn't eat the food.
No, right.
Why couldn't he? Why couldn't he eat the food? Goy slop in it.
But remember, my life is.
Did that ever strike you that I can't eat the food because somebody might have done something to it? I gotta live off an almond joy bar, one a day or two a day or whatever. How many ever sneak in a day?
No sneaking in.
Your one almond joy bar, it did not hit you at some time?
Yeah, kind of actually. Kind of. We actually have a similar phenotype. It's kind of like a silver fox, like sexy older guy phenotype. I agree. I totally agree, actually. I should start Epstein maxing. I'm waiting for my hair to go fully white, fully wizard white. That would be so based. Holy shit.
How the fuck did I do this?
No.
Let's go back.
That's crazy. I had people trying to kill him back then, right? That's what's implied by that. The fear of being important. Yeah, exactly. What's implied by that is he had people trying to kill him back then. Fucking hell.
To the spring of 2008. Were you so wrapped up in your personal issues at the time you were not spending enough time on the financial markets, or were you deeply involved in the financial markets like you normally were?
No, I was involved.
And so we're saying that the smartest guy in the room didn't see it coming.
No, of course.
The bankruptcy of Bear Stearns, you just thought was a Bear Stearns problem. You didn't see it as systemic.
I know you keep harping on it, but it's not
because you're a mathematician and understands systems. It seems that anybody that understands that they had a systemic problem, you at least be the first on the early search radar. If you're not going to see it, then I'm really afraid, because that means that I always assume there's at least a set of guys out there that have some sort of sense that something's not right.
Imagine the guy who has a stroke or had the heart attack. When you ask him, did you feel funny the day before? He's going to tell you, yeah, I didn't feel right. Something was off. I didn't feel right. I had my stomach was right. I felt a little dizzy. I felt a little weak. But if you asked him that day before, do you think you're going to have a heart attack tomorrow? He'd say, no, I just feel a little weak. I'm a little dizzy. My stomach hurts.
The answer is she was flaunting around in high society for most of it. Because her troubles didn't start until much, much later, if you remember correctly.
So these systems, and that's the issue of complexity. What complexity says is that, in fact, everything seems to go along, and people have seen it. One of the great examples of complex systems is sand dunes. In fact, the sand keeps building up. People have seen some, and all of a sudden, one more sand drop.
I know that there are people right now listening to this, watching this live, who are in the Black Lodge, who will really appreciate the irony, the cosmic, zodiacal irony of the number of times that this Aquarian motherfucker has referenced systems and the building, designing, maintaining, dismantling, or like just overall superstructure that underpins various systems. It's so Aquarian. It's like, holy fucking shit. Holy
and all the sand starts running down the hills. That's the way I see the financial market.
When you funded Santa Fe in the early 90s or late 80s?
I believe it was early 90s. I can get back to you.
But early 90s, Santa Fe was funded for the study of complexity theory.
It was math. So let's back up. So why did I buy a ranch in New Mexico in 1993? So that gives you some sense. So I would have funded it in 1990. Los Alamos, which was the high energy lab up in New Mexico, was losing all its scientists.
And Los Alamos, it was where Oppenheimer and where a lot of the nuclear weapons program, the bomb.
That's when the Manhattan Project.
Manhattan Project was as Los Alamos, and you bought your property out in New Mexico to be near that?
Yes, because the scientists were they cut the funding for high energy physics. But the people who worked in Los Alamos would still be in the Santa Fe area.
Do you see what I mean? Eccentric, genius, who in his free time buys a ranch in Mexico so he can work on high energy physics. Yeah, so he can traffic girls and build a breeding program and create a new super race or whatever. Crazy shit is alleged to have happened on Zorro Ranch. But yeah, what the fuck? And of course, Bannon's job here is to play dumb, ask very easy layup, like softball questions, and to play the kind of like foil heel that isn't really. It's all kayfabe, man. It's all fucking kayfabe. But the crazy thing to me is his interest in science. I know I've said it before, and I kind of say it over and over again every time the sign is mentioned. I almost feel sorry for the aquarium people that they have to even sit through a video when it comes around to them. But the scientist and innovation connection to the sign of Aquarius is crazy. And he just exemplifies that so strongly with his sun on the midheaven in a day chart.
They cut that because this was the Cold War dividend, right?
I don't remember exactly why. It was because, again, people thought that physics and high energy physics really wasn't that important.
Because that was about nuclear weapons.
No, it was because they decided, which maybe not right. This was the same time that Murray Gell-Mann came up with the term quark, Q-U-A-R-K.
Christ, bro.
He picked it out of an old poem, the word quark. But it was mysterious. So they were starting to understand in the 90s that our world of the physics world, there was...
Because you're going to realize that he's a human being and he has a lot of attributes to be commended. Obviously, he's a sick fuck, and obviously he was embroiled in some really, really evil shit. But as I keep stressing, he's nowhere near the top of the pyramid. Wouldn't have been killed otherwise.
Things that were just unexplainable. They called it strange things. You gave it a name. You gave it some characteristics.
Bro, I believe it. I would think you were chatting shit, right? I would think you were just like absolutely waffling. But I know that him and Ghislaine went in their free time in a submarine to try and find the lost city of Atlantis. Come on.
It had charm, was one of the terms. It had a charm, it had a flavor, it had a color. But no one, Mr. Bannon, understood what it was. Just like the financial system.
And you wanted to investigate that?
I wanted to see if we could build tools so others smarter than me could help investigate it.
And that was the beginning of your concept of the Santa Fe Institute?
Yes.
And Santa Fe Institute was founded to do study in this type of...
Can these areas of strange things be described by some form of mathematics?
So that's what I'm trying to get at. The foundational thought, the organizing principle.
Wouldn't it be epic if Jeffrey Epstein was just a time traveler? A time traveler who's still alive right now and trying to take down the global elite? Like a kind of evil Rick from Rick and Morty?
Of Santa Fe, yes. in the high physics lab at Los Alamos, right, which had been the headquarters of Manhattan, and the Trinity Project, right, the bomb.
Yes.
So you're talking about the elite, the high priest
of physics.
Yes. Sir. Which high priest of physics, some subset of that is also mathematics.
Yes, they're both similar.
Project out. One of the tools you want to do is to make sure that in this complex system, the finance system, I'm doing a lot of this for philanthropy and a lot for the good of mankind, but also to be able to understand this complex system, the most complex outside of maybe our body, of the financial world.
Yes.
Did they create tools, or were you smarter in than the mid-aughts 15 years later than you had been then because of work that was done at Santa Fe?
No, it was great. But in fact, most of my philanthropy in the area of, can you describe things that appear to be unexplainable by mathematics, and can you fund people who have new ideas? And unfortunately, when someone thinks they've been able to, there was a man, Stuart Kaufman, when they think okay, I figured out how to be able to predict the unpredictable, what appears to other people to be unpredictable. But my system, in those days it was called genetic algorithms, can predict what things will happen, and they all want to make money. So they use their systems to try to figure out, they know they have figured out the way to make money because they figured out the unexplainable. They try, they go bankrupt, and we start again. So with a cold view, what I've come to realize is that the attempt to mathematize, formularize, or what in your prior work, to understand what really is, in today's world, still unexplainable, is impossible. They're miracles.
So fucking Aquarian.
Your first head of Santa Fe was Christopher
Langdon, I think.
Langdon from
But
Australia.
Murray Gell-Mann was
Murray
really
Gell-Mann
was the funder. He was the
yes,
rock.
Yes, he was the rock. He was a Nobel Prize winner.
Yes.
Yes, and a wonderful guy. He came out and helped us with the Biosphere 2 project. He came with Chris Langdon.
Yeah.
Chris Langdon was the operator, the day-to-day guy.
Chris was doing artificial life.
Right.
Murray tried to lead his own artificial life.
Yes.
Chris Langdon, isn't that the guy who's the smartest man on the planet? Isn't he the man who's the smartest? Right?
When Chris came
Like
to
pound for pound, raw IQ. I'm pretty sure he is.
Biosphere 2 for the first big conference we had in 1994, he was one of the most impressive guys there among all the world's elite. Kew Gardens, the Lawrence Livermore Lab, the labs at Sandia, all the major universities, Lamont Doherty, all the big Earth observatories, Woods Hole. What set Langdon apart, I thought, and the reason I invited Santa Fe to be part of it, was Langdon actually made a presentation that everything, and he was making this to scientists, a lot of marine biologists, a lot of people that are just beginning, Wally Broker and people.
To get in the lodge is very simple. You have to be a channel member, which it looks like you are, and you have to know the password. Oh, and pass the vetting, obviously. The password is abracadabra at the moment, but it will change soon. And when it does change, it will be posted in the community posts tab. Good luck. Good luck. I don't control vetting. Good luck.
People were just beginning the study of climate change, at that time called global warming. That he made this compelling presentation that everything's really mathematics. Yes. It's all just back to math. And you have to, all these experiments you do, you're not, one of the reasons they're not considered by the high priest in physics as being real experiments is that they don't have a mathematical basis to it, and everything has a mathematical basis to it. Langdon seemed like a radical visionary. What happened to that concept?
You go back 350 years. So you have Isaac Newton, you have Leibniz. From move forward, you have people like Heisenberg and Gödel, and what every one of those mathematicians and philosophers came to understand is that there's something with, there's numbers can describe certain things, approximate certain things. But in fact, trying to put measurements and numbers on other things that are really unexplainable is folly. It's so 300 years ago, they said that unexplainable realm was God. And people who attempted, in fact, to explain the unexplainable, who said, yes, I understand the unexplainable, were charlatans. They were the occults. They were the astrologers. They were the con men.
Alchemist.
Yes. Well, no, alchemist was, in fact, they believed that there was a way to transmute one metal into another. In fact, they always wanted to see if they can create gold. There's no reason, if you think about it, they recognize that one metal is different than another metal because it has some additional pieces to it. It has additional neutrons or protons or electrons. So because they thought it was a machine, they believed it was a machine, if I can take 5 protons and add 5, that gives me 10, I should be able to get gold. Move everything around inside these systems, the molecules transmute one molecule into another, and if this molecule I've transmuted it into is gold, I'm a rich man. It's back to money. But there's something strange happens. Isaac Newton says, this is really weird. If I want to push a ball on the table, I have to touch it. Maybe I have to blow on it. But I actually have to push one side of the ball or the book to move that side. I'm pushing here, and obviously this thing is what appears to us humans to be solid. so it moves as one thing. But the only way to get something to move was to touch it or put a force against it. Okay, seems to make sense. Everybody has that experience. I want to lift a glass, I lift it. If I want to push a ball, I push it. If I want to pull a ball, I pull it. But he recognized when the ball fell off the table, it went in a different direction. How's that possible? Nobody pushed the ball down. And he says, this is crazy. Why did the ball go down? I didn't push it. I just let it go. So someone's pushing the ball, because I know that I am confident that the only thing that gets something to move is with a force that pushes. So there's a force that's pushing the ball down.
I agree, Kimberly, that he's playing dumb, that he's teaching like level 1 physics in a way to kind of try and obfuscate. But it does show you the nature of his mind. It does show you this calculating, like stern, disciplined mind that is obsessed with systems and structures and innovation and technology and forward thinking and progress and humanitarianism and philanthropy. Exactly what you'd expect from somebody with that prominent like midheaven combination. It's crazy how much he is what was outlined in that paragraph that I read at the start of the stream.
In fact, he called it gravity. He measured how fast it was pulled, but never was able to explain why it happened. How is it? What is gravity? It's this. Everybody says, well, why did the
quite literally this? So you're me. He's not a reptilian from inside Hollow Earth, loosh farming children, but a dark physics magician, happy hermit, maxed pedo, elite trafficker extraordinaire. Nailed it. Got him.
Around because gravity took it. But what's gravity? That's, as Feynman would say, that's the name of the thing. We have no idea what it is. This goes to Santa Fe. They were trying to explain the unexplainable. Can we figure out a way to predict the stock markets using these types of chaos complexity?
Before we get there, let's walk back through it. Let's go back to Newton. Sure. Pre-Newton and then Newton. What did Newton solve that for millennia up to Newton had not been solved? And then I want to go forward all the way to Santa Fe, what they were trying to solve. Let's start with just 2 or 3 of the basic guys, but let's go with Newton. What pre-Newton, it was what? And then why is Newton such a
genius?
In such a in the, I think mathematically they told me one time, I've seen there's been 115 billion people roughly that have lived on the earth. And of that 115 billion, Newton.
Are you sure that's a number? That sounds a lot, very high. We only have 7 now.
I think in the history of the earth, I think so. I'll pull up the stat for you, but I think it's 115 billion people. They figured
that probably is inflation. That's why you
have lived
compound interest in it
have lived on Earth. But he's one of the handful of the most important. What did he solve for? Why is he so important for how we live today? And then we want to go through Leibniz and the other 2 or 3 other major ones to get us to Santa Fe.
Well, it's a long journey.
This is the heart of this is.
Absolutely, Matt. Absolutely. He's basically saying, you don't understand why I do terrible things to kids, but I have an honest scientific reason for it all. You won't understand yet, though. And honestly, genuinely feel like that is the subtext of this conversation. Genuinely feel like that is the subtext of this entire fucking conversation. My power level is too high. I know things that you don't. I can see things that you wouldn't possibly understand. Let me educate you on level 1 Goyim physics. And, in the background, meanwhile, this guy has a ranch in the middle of America where he's trafficking girls and trying to breed them to make a super race. Aquarius.
The heart of what we're trying to do.
Let me take a bit of a detour just a second. What if you went to high school and the last year in your high school, you took calculus? So Isaac Newton sort of invents calculus. Well, that sounds mathematicians
to torture seniors in high school before they graduate.
Yes, but obviously no. Yes, the answer is yes. Certain people could never do calculus.
Why is it? Why is calculus so? Why is that the dividing line between To me, people who can handle that and can go on to do certain things, and people just hit the wall, even if they know math. It seems to me that there's that calculus is the thing that changes. It bridges. That's because it's about the theory of change and the theory of how things change.
It's a great question, but in fact, what calculus does is it's somewhat philosophical. That's why mathematics is Newton wasn't a mathematician; he was called a geometer. That's what they used to call themselves. They understood geometry and numbers, but there's an
real, by the way. Gemini intelligence is up there, but we're looking at a guy who is levels smarter than me and you, TBH, whoever the fuck you are. Real talk. Well, it kind of is a little bit, isn't it? Geomancy.
Old conundrum where it says and during Pythagoras' days, Zeno's paradox, it's called, where they said, well, if the wall is 2 feet away from me, and I take one step that's halfway to the wall, that'll be 1 foot away. And if I take another step that's half again, that'll be half a foot away, and then a quarter of a foot.
So there's like different types of intelligence. When you really get into astrology, what you tend to understand is that, that emotional intelligence isn't just something that women talk about. It's not just a meme. Like there are people who can really understand the feelings, intentions, motivations, emotions of others really, really intuitively and instinctively and well. There are people who understand complex systems like this guy, the intense hard wiring of things, the practical maths and physics that underpins things. There are people that understand persuasion, right? And that charm is a type of intelligence. I wish I could find the bit in this way. He's talking about how I think Epstein has a quote like this where he's like, black people aren't necessarily smarter or dumber. They're like in Africa when they're running through the woods, they're smarter because they can navigate their environment. Whilst I wouldn't go that far, whilst I do believe there is like an objective metric in terms of how fast you think and process information, that you do learn that there are different types of intelligence. There's such a thing as having a Mercury in Libra and having a really relational intelligence where you understand the group and the group dynamics and how people interact with each other on a really high level that someone like Epstein just wouldn't understand. He might be able to tell you the quantum underpinnings and the formula that outlines and explains the universe, but he really wouldn't do as well as some other people in a social situation where they have to navigate the feelings and egos of two conflicting people, for example, right? Different type of intelligence based on a different type of situation. Broadly speaking, that is correct. Although if we're talking about like IQ test, if we're talking about the white man's intelligence, pure straight up moggening, yeah, I mean, my IQ is like, last tested, my IQ was like 145, but I was in school. I've done a lot of drugs since then, man. So I don't know. I mean, let's say my IQ crystallized at like 125, 130. Yeah, I'd say Epstein's got like a clear 30, 40 points on me and on most of you, TBH.
I could walk forever, but never touch the wall.
Ashkenazi Jews in general, 115, right? The average white European, 100. That, just for context, 15 points is not a small stretch. It's one standard deviation. It's the difference between being able to tie your shoelaces or not, right?
Doesn't sound realistic. Doesn't make any sense in our real lives of the physical. But what Newton understood is many problems were like that. Many things approached the wall, or in calculus, approached the limit, but never really reached it. So he said, it's okay, you don't have to reach it. We can do lots of the mathematics as if it was so close.
It should be like that, right? It should be stacked on itself. It should be maths at the bottom, chemistry sits on maths, so the raw equations of chemistry. Well, actually, physics sits on maths, chemistry sits on physics, biology sits on chemistry, and then some of these other sciences like psychology should obviously sit on top of biology. That's why the evolutionary biological psychology goes so fucking hard, right? But what happens is that increasingly something like psychology, which is a soft science, doesn't actually sit on a hard science like it should. Even biology doesn't always sit on chemistry like it should. There's a lot of woo bullshit that goes in there. Increasingly, you're noticing that these fields are referencing each other in a circle instead of stacking on top of each other like a pyramid. And even I know that, right? Like, fuck.
It's almost there. And we could do lots of mathematics almost being at the limit. And this is really important, Steve, for today.
Hey, yo, credible threat. This, but unironically.
Most of the science up until today was things that are starting to approach the limit. You were taught in high school that if you had 1 divided by 0, if you remember your high school algebra, you were told, what's the answer to that? Is there an answer to 1 divided by 0? No, if you were in high school, I'd say, stay away from it. It's the boogeyman. You could write it down as it's undefined. It's not able to be determined. There's a bunch of things. But in fact, 1 divided by 0 is a strange things happen. It's a world of the strange.
Bro, was that like a fucking underage girl just moonlighting through the background? That was so, the fuck was that?
Strange. And what I'll explain to you after is that when you get 1 divided by 0, you get into a world we don't know what happens. The answer is it's not explainable. We can call it things like undetermined. This is what we can have a convention to say it's X, Y, or Z, but in real life, we don't know what happens when you are actually at the limit. So that's Newton thought the same concept is that the limits were God. You got close to God, but you can never be God. He had this sort of religious interpretation.
Okay, I want to go back to Newton. Why is Newton such a big dividing line in mankind's history? What is it about Newton? What is it about what he's trying to solve? What did they not know beforehand? And because we live to a degree in a Newtonian universe, although I realized later.
No, not at the quantum level. We don't. In fact, the more you zoom in, the more you look down, the less anything Newton said seems to be consistent, like, and correct.
Subparticle atomic physics.
Yeah, like at the atomic level, like nothing responds to Newtonian calculate. That should terrify all of us, but it doesn't.
For a while, it was Newtonian. So what's the dividing line? Why is he so important? Why is he an inflection point in mankind's movement from the swamp to the stars?
It's a great question. Because stars were by Kepler.
100%. He has shit on Bannon. Definitely. Yes. Yeah. Sorry if I didn't make that clear earlier. Yes, 100%. Otherwise, everyone who's around him is someone he has leverage on, has information on, has blackmail over.
What Newton starts to allow us to do is to make accurate predictions. Remember that we've talked about that with money, about the things in our physical world, how cars, he didn't have cars then, how horse carriages moved, how bowling balls moved, how pool cues and pool table balls.
Had people tried to solve that before Newton?
Many.
Heraclitus or Plotinus, Pythagoras had these greats that we hear about, had they tried to solve the same problem?
Not the same problem. They try to, again, what Pythagoras does, he starts to figure out this relationships in triangles. For example, everyone knows the a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, that Pythagorean theorem, which is basically says these shapes in a triangle, each side of the triangle has a fixed relationship with the other 2 sides. That's strange. He knew, again, but it was all numbers. This was a system of things in the physical world, and Pythagoras says we can start putting numbers on things that help you predict how they will behave. You can add 2 triangles and make a square, some different shapes. They were looking at geometric forms. Newton says, well, I want to know how planets move. I want to know how things around me move. Can we find formulas? Can I find formulas that explain what I see in the physical world, how physical things interact and how they describe one another? Again, the fact that 2 solid masses, for some very strange, unknown reason, unknown today, attract one another, no matter what they are. People have seen the experiment you hang of.
I agree. We're going to skip forward again because he is just straight up yapping. My math professor will not stop. What magic increases intelligence? You want to work with Mercury. You want to work with Hermes. You want to, or the moon, right? Because again, we're talking about two very distinct, very different types of intelligence. But I would say make a Mercury. I would say if you want to see an instant increase in intelligence in your life, the best thing you can do is make it like a Mercury talisman and either wear that or carry that around or like sleep on that. I could teach you how to do it, I guess, at some other time. Let's skip forward. Do you believe in the soul? Okay, let's measure everything. Yada, yada, yada. Get something profound out of this. Come on, Jeff.
Let's measure people's behavior. Let's measure their psychology. Let's measure their health. You go to we could have my blood test. Let's measure everything. We can measure Wall Street.
Their voting habits.
Measure. Can we put a number on how much I care for my wife? Could I put a number on how I feel? And we tried, unfortunately, we try to mathematize the.
Bruh, can I put a number on how I feel? That is the most Aquarian question I think I've ever heard in my life. Can I put a number on how I feel? Holy shit.
Finer things in life. And then recognize that there's things that unfortunately just fall outside. Schrodinger wrote a very famous book about what is life. He was trying to figure out a way, can he describe the difference formulaically between things that are alive and things that are dead? The answer is no. The things that are alive in my world are miracles, not magic. Magic has a bad connotation.
We don't believe in things. You don't believe in.
Look down, Jeffrey. Look down.
The spirit.
I call them miracles. I don't call it magic. Magic has a bad connotation. Fuck, he's so aware that he's communicating to the everyman. It's so calculated. It's so Capricornian. It's so Aquarian. It's so Saturnian. Holy shit. All of this, like yapathon, 127 minutes to get into something real. And what did somebody say earlier that perfectly, succinctly, articulately captured everything that was going on? What is the subtext of this conversation? Look how smart I am. Look how much I've done for humanity. Look how much I know about the big picture. All the other stuff I've done, you have to look the other way because I am here in the greater interest of knowledge. And like, it's just so fucking high-minded and fucking Aquarian. Holy shit.
Or the soul, that's what animates people, is your spirit or your soul. That's
No.
what have you ever seen someone die when they
Alex Jones is an Aquarian, okay? I'm not just hating on all Aquarians, but there's Alex Jones has a Libra moon. That's what makes him different.
die, their spirit leaves?
Their soul leaves, no question. So in
There's
fact,
no question
reincarnation pill.
for you about
no
that.
question.
There's no question to you that there is some animating life force within us that leaves when you're dead.
Yes, in fact, I refer to the soul. This obviously a certain the questions in the past, even.
Whoa, he's actually become like animated now. The glasses came off. He's been sincere. The smirking stopped. Crazy. What is going on? I told you it was a Aries moon, man. Aries moon. Damn, dude.
Even
Because
during
people would normally think you were soulless. So
Thank you.
Have you just
No. First good line from Bannon. Holy shit.
talk about you actually believe in it and have done.
Hey, yo, guys. Drop a like on the video. Drop a like, drop a dislike on the video. Just let me know how you think it's going, for my ego. Thank you very much.
Some thinking about it is pretty shocking in its own right, isn't it?
well, again, mathematics, Leibniz thought.
So Newton was at Cambridge and he was the head of the math department, right? He's a professor, essentially.
Yes.
But Leibniz, was Leibniz a German professor?
Yes, but what Leibniz said is the soul is so strange because God took.
Look how fucking passionate he is and like in it. He's in it with that. These Aquarius moon, these Aries moons, man. Deeply spiritual people. Go back to the start of the beginning when I was talking about that. Holy shit. The first time I've seen him not act like a fucking Aquarian robot, right? You really saw that you're seeing the real guy a little bit now.
Chemicals, which is simply the material, like tables, and he somehow made this material able to have a thought. How strange is that? Not only does it have a soul, but this some way it was put together that this material substance is able to think. So when you say to me, it's obvious to everyone that there's such a thing as a soul. Now, if you're part of the Charlatanville, you'll try to explain it to people. The soul I describe as the dark matter of the brain. Why is it dark matter? Because in high energy physics nowadays, you hear terms of dark matter, dark energy. Again, terminology, complicated term. Why is it dark matter? Because we can't see it, that's all. What do you mean you can't see it? Well, somehow we see something moving towards this area of darkness. Something, I can see this thing. This appears to me to be empty. It's just black, but I see it being drawn this way. So I say, well, I know if this were matter, that would follow that equation. If this was solid, it would explain.
I can see the connection that you're making. I don't think, I'm genuinely going to say it though, I don't think Jeffrey Epstein only believes that Jewish people have souls. He probably has some baked in the cake Jewish supremacy, which you'll see in the emails, right? Where he'll believe Jewish people to be the spiritual priest caste of the world, Jewish people to be here to discover and enlighten and push progress forward. But many Jewish people believe that. It's kind of just a soft kind of Jewish supremacy. I think he believes everybody has a soul. I think he's saying that he believes everybody has a soul, right? But maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe in the emails, it's different. Maybe in the emails, they're talking specifically about how Goyim don't got souls. I don't know. You have to pull those emails up. There's so many references to the word Goyim in the emails. It's frankly crazy. Like the Wignats are having a field day with the emails. Holy shit. Need to get the kids' soul through. Who knows? Who knows at this point?
The way this particle moves. But I can't see anything here. So I'll just call it dark matter. And I'll say, I don't know what it is, but it behaves as if there
I feel like I should know about the Freemartins more than I do.
was something there. The soul is obvious to everyone that there's something different between things that are alive and things that are not alive. But we have no idea what it is. It's currently unexplainable. I believe we need an entirely different system of analysis to try to figure out.
But
sorry.
No, with Newton, with all his alchemical studies and things he worked on the spiritual side, Leibniz that just talked about the soul, Schroeder talked about was like,
I was like, where do I know Freemartins from? It's Brave New World, isn't it? It's a fucking Brave New World reference. Banger reference, Ben. Banger fucking reference, Ben. Because I was thinking like, yeah, where do I know that from? It's a group of some kind, isn't it? I had to Google it. Well played, dude. Well played.
Or someone that you funded at MIT or at Harvard or one of these things talked in those types of terms, they would be considered to be a wingnut today, wouldn't they? They would not be on the path for tenure, right?
Unless they were in the philosophy department.
This is exactly
He's witty as fuck, man.
We're talking about three of the greatest mathematicians in mankind's history that have really changed mankind. Talking like this, what happened? How do we get to a situation where they could not be in the high physics, they could not be in the mathematics department or working in high energy physics?
Good.
Do you think Bannon's cheering him on? I don't think Bannon's cheering him on, but he's definitely there to glaze him.
Easy answer. Newton was a combination of mathematician or geometer then and philosopher. And as time went on, those disciplines seemed to move apart. We had philosophy. Some of the philosophers can't do math, and some of the mathematicians. And again, mathematicians often break into two categories. People that solve problems. Those are more like geometers in the old days, just problem solvers. And then there's thinkers, theoreticians. They're more like the old movement towards philosophy. But neither one of those two groups have been able to figure out why something is alive as opposed to something that's not alive. No one's been able to describe what the soul is, but we all know it exists. And I think what we need is a new science is a bad word. I think science only describes the things we already know about the physical world. In fact, there's an argument that the physical world that we see.
Science is a bad word. Jeffrey Epstein. Put that on a t-shirt. Holy shit.
Has been created out of our systems of mathematics. Mathematics, everyone knows mathematics describes the physical world much greater than it should, unless my view, the physical world really comes out of conscious beings that have mathematics. So they create it. This table appears to you and I to be solid. To a bat, because we have light that's bouncing off the table into our eyes, it appears solid. If instead of eyes that responded to wavelengths of visual light, our eyes responded to radio waves, the radio frequencies, it's not different, it's the same type of frequency as light, but different speeds, the table's invisible. We know that our phone works in this room. So the waves are coming through the windows, the waves are coming through the walls. So the walls are invisible to that type of radiation, that type of energy. The walls I can see them because my eyes.
It's such basic shit, right? Philosophically speaking, to discuss the noumenal, this idea that there's an interesting spiritual idea that underpins it. Why do we so readily believe in radio waves and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth? Why are we so reluctant to believe that I could send you an invisible radiation ray with my mind?
I think science and math are old-fashioned.
Based?
And unfortunately,
can I get a based?
People are still taught that they have to learn algebra in school and certain things in school.
Based? No, progress isn't always bad, guys. Come on. When Jeffrey's right, Jeffrey's right.
As opposed to learning to have an emotion.
Is this what Larry Summers was trying to get at? Maybe didn't say it perfectly enough, but what he was trying to get to in that system, the systems we study today, the way mathematics is either taught or understood, that women just haven't gotten up to the highest realms of engineering or physics or mathematics because of that. And you're actually implying
Ben here doing wonders for our bad PR. Based.
That there's either new branch or science, or we've hit an inflection point like in Newton that's going to go in Newton took mankind in a different direction because he was able to measure. Then you had
possibly we could all be just downstream of some of the latest kayfabe. I don't think so. I think it's obvious what's a distraction and what's not a distraction. I think Greenland was a distraction. I think Greenland was the biggest pump fake. Hey, look over there, don't look over here distraction I've ever seen. This shit all coming out as Neptune leaves Pisces and enters Aries. Nah. This is like a revelation. It's a mass awakening. Every country around the world is finding out that their elites are corrupt as fuck. We knew anyway, but it was deluded. We were all deluded about it to varying degrees. No, not this guy. No, not Trump. Trump's trying to stop the pedophiles. Trump is fighting a war against the lizards in underground caves. Listen. Neptune has entered Aries. All that shit is going to go out the window. Radical transparency is coming, guys. Saturn too is about to leave Pisces and enter Aries. None of you are ready.
Subatomic, non-Newtonian physics later. Are you saying that you think there's another developing field that's coming up that may take us, I don't know how many decades to get our hands around, but that's what's evolving out of this?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that he was behind microtransactions. And I also saw that he was claimed to in several emails, know who the founders of Bitcoin were. Bruh.
In fact, I think that mathematics, it's not the end of science. Every year someone says it's the end of, we can't discover everything. There's lots to discover with a relationship to the physical world, but we know a lot already. In respect to the unexplainable world, we almost know nothing. Women, again, sense it. And instead of Larry Summers, I won't.
Bro, female intuition pilled?
Digress too much. But Howard Gardner early on said, there's not one form of intelligence. It's not mathematical intelligence. There's emotional intelligence, this kinesthetic intelligence. You know, there's this argument that I reject. That
Here it is. Okay. See, this is very Aquarian. What you're about to hear is very, very Aquarian.
Black people are less intelligent than white people. It's not true. We know, for example, that if I was in the forest and I had to run from the lion or figure out a way not to be eaten, and my competition is a local African, I'm the one who's getting eaten because they have the intelligence to deal with their local environment. So it's just different. It's not better, it's not worse, but there's many differences.
I would argue that in a homogenized, globalized world where everyone is forced to play by the same rules of the same system, there is a standardized metric of intelligence. That's the problem. The problem is that we don't, maybe what he's saying is true if we were all running away from saber-toothed tigers, but we're not, right? It's a nice idea. It's something vaguely utopian and Aquarian about it, definitely.
Is amongst different types of people. And so people have different intelligences and they excel in some intelligences usually and less so in others.
When did it come to, because the world of high finance is a world of pure reason, or is it a lot of emotion and gut checks and
Dude, I like the journalist chick. Do you remember the journalist chick? You said Piper. I think her name is Piper. You meet her in you meet her in Diamond City. I liked her. She was sassy. She had spunk. She had chutzpah. I liked her. I liked her a lot.
You know, on trading desk and central banks, when these decisions get made, is it that high church, like the high church of science of high energy physics, or is it as much emotion that comes in as much as the mathematics and the reason?
It's a great question. I think if you talk to really experienced and successful traders and you ask them how they know what's going on, they can't give you an answer. They don't know. They feel it. They can feel the way the market's moving. They can feel the way the stock's moving. And that these are not very well-defined terms. It's difficult to put in mathematics terms. How did I feel it? You could look back and make guesses what I was seeing. But great traders feel it and then act on their feelings. That's the difference. Many people feel it but are afraid because they want a mathematical justification before they take that next step.
When you first got on the trading desk at Bear Stearns in the late 70s or mid 70s, were you shocked by how little actual understanding of mathematics that the traders comprehended?
Yeah, well, again, we had a Texas Instrument calculator. Most stockbrokers, especially before 1975, if they were good stockbrokers, could add. That's about it. They, part of a very complex system, had a shock throughout the whole.
Bro, again with the systems. Chill with the systems.
Whole system. So prices on Park Avenue apartments, the bond markets, the stock markets, every started to gyrate. You know, there's an old mathematics expression that if a butterfly wings in Mexico make the wrong turn, it spins out, and eventually, by the time it gets to Canada, it turns into a tornado. So these are part of complex systems. So yeah, Wall Street in certain parts.
Santa Fe Institute was supposed to actually come up with a formula for that, for the butterfly wings. Why in 15 years did you reach the end of at least that experiment?
Every attempt to, that's why it's so exciting now, because I think certain people are starting to realize that there's so many things that are unexplainable that we have to think about them differently. Music is a great example. It's a common.
Damn, man. That feeling when you completely agree with everything Jeffrey Epstein's about to say, even if it is a very Reddit take.
And example, you know, when you hear a certain song, it makes you feel a certain way. How does it do that? We don't know. We can't mathematize it. And even that music, Steve, nowadays we compress music. When you have a violin, it's compressed onto your iPhone. So what does compression mean? I'm taking lots of information and I'm cutting it into lots of pieces and squishing it together. And when I squish it or compress it, I have to take out lots of pieces, but I say that.
Yeah, right. The video starts with Bannon being like, "Hey, look, when I ask you a question, this is going in a documentary, so I'm going to cut out my voice. It's just going to be your voice. So try and address the question in the answer of the question, right? Try and like say the question in the answer. Oh, how did I feel in 1985? Well, da da da. And he doesn't do that anyway. Terrible at taking instruction, Jeffrey Epstein. Completely lost in the source of all the systems and stuff. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? The interview started with him saying, with Bannon saying like, "Oh, you're not going to be able to hear his voice." And before that, like no one had heard Epstein's voice. And everyone is shocked by hearing Epstein's voice. It's weird.
They're not very important pieces. It's those pieces that we take out when we compress data, to me, are the most interesting parts of life.
You just said a while ago, part of this new search for science may go back to when people were actually talking about a soul, and you said there's no doubt in your mind that there is a soul. Describe for me what you mean by that. What do you mean by soul? What do you mean soul different than the physical analog body that we're seeing on film right now?
It's difficult to describe in words. I mean, I'm not a poet. Poems get a little closer to what that really means, but we can. Even the concept of what is life becomes complicated when you deal with plants and seeds. Is a seed alive? I don't know. Certain people would say no.
I figured it all had come out. All had come out. Yeah, so maybe it's 3 million total, and they've only released 200. Fuck, it's going to be an interesting year. Man, I feel like the world could fall apart. It has the potential to fall apart about these revelations going down the pipe. Like, fuck, man.
Oh, it's dead. When you're a banana. One of my favorite examples is the banana that's sitting on the countertop in your kitchen today. Is it alive or dead?
What do you think about human life? What is human? Tell me about human life.
But your banana is alive. That banana is breathing. It's on your. You say that's impossible, Jeffrey. No, it's not.
Is the banana conscious?
All these words. These are words. So everyone's trying to fit a very complicated concepts into a very small box called conscious or alive. These don't fit in that way. So if you put your banana in a bag and put another fruit in with it, the fruit ripens faster because the banana breathes with it. That's how we don't understand most of those things. So you asked the big question. Sorry.
You talk about the life. What about human life?
What about it?
Tell me what do you think? What do you think human life is?
It's a miracle. It's a miracle. And when I say miracle, I can't explain it, and I make no attempt to explain it at the moment. We don't know how to think about it. And anyone, it's again, another one of the Feynman quotes when he was talking about quantum physics. He said, anyone, Jeffrey, who says they understand quantum physics and quantum mechanics and quantum behavior, they're lying.
Let's talk about it. That's post-Newtonian. Talk about what's the difference? Who founded quantum mechanics? Why is quantum mechanics taking Newtonian physics?
It's not that he isn't interested in this stuff, but it's such an obfuscation. It's such an obfuscation. It just underpins everything, right? That, oh man, okay.
And taking it to the next level.
It forms a much broader category.
Let's go back to this desk. You use the thing of Newton using this desk. Why can't Newton's theory explain everything? Why did subatomic quantum mechanics or quantum physics have to come in to explain this?
Well, so let's go right back to square one. Why is it called quantum physics? So quanta is a word that simply means packet, small amount. So it's quantized. So when we recognize that this table appears, another very complicated word, solid to us, it's really made up of molecules or atoms. And atoms, we've given lots of names to what some of the behaviors. If you were in school, when you and I were in school in the 50s, the model was a little center thing in the middle, and an electron went around and around it. It was seen as a ball that went around and around it. And as we start to well, let's see what this ball looks like. I want to be able to examine that little thing called an electron. We found that there was nothing there. There wasn't the thing.
Well, I know what you mean. You guys often do know shit. That's the problem. You often do know this shit, but he's side tangenting. He's going off into the weeds. It's really interesting little glimpse. It's all superficially glib, charming. It's not that he doesn't care about what he's talking about, but he's using it to kind of just run out the clock. He's playing out the clock on the interview of like, well, it's 2 hours of interview here. We're going to have to sit down for 2 hours. And if I can do 10 minutes on Schrodinger's cat, then, you know, that's 10 minutes. I don't have to talk about diddling kids, you know?
It was simply a cloud of energy that we can call an electron. So we already started to see mysterious things as we go into very super small quantities, quantum physics. So quantum physics started to go into the very small, and at very small distances, we see things that we can't explain. We just cannot explain.
How am I doing on time?
4 minutes.
Fine. And to summarize, no, sorry.
Let's go back to human life. When do you think human life starts?
It's not these. So you see, this is the question. You're asking me to measure something again. It's the
It can't
disease.
be measured. You just hate making commitments. That's
why I'm not married.
I'm peeling this onion back a layer at a time. All your bullshit and happy target can't be measured like that. Is that to say measure it's a commitment. You don't even like a commitment when you answer a question.
I don't.
As they say in golf, commit to the shot.
I don't know what it means to be measured.
You do know what it means to be measured. You're one of the leading currency traders, hedge fund guys, or stock market financial wizards. You're in the high priesthood of high finance. You certainly know how to measure. That's why you're a billionaire. Any other answer besides that is total and complete bullshit, and you know it.
I know very few things.
You know things can be measured. You measure every day. You weigh and measure every day. You weigh and measure people. You weigh and measure leaders. You weigh and measure economies. You weigh and measure politics.
It's a very
good. You weigh and measure. You weigh.
Hang on.
Your whole life, in fact, is measuring.
So what you've now done is a great thing, is you've used the word measure, a mathematic term, in the common vernacular and abused it. So I don't even recognize what it means. It's so abusive to my field.
Why? And let's go to that. In mathematics, measure means what specifically?
There's no specific. It's an approximation, or giving something a number. Einstein
We're
said,
not asking you to go to the 9th decimal point.
You didn't say that before.
No, you're not going to the 9th.
I don't even. What if I say measure how tall are you? You'd say, in your case, 6 foot.
6 feet.
But is it 6 foot 1 inch?
Give or take. It's between 5'11" and 6 feet.
But what's that? But I want. So the question is, I want an accurate.
I got Zeno's paradox.
I don't even know what it means to measure you. Am I measuring the top of your hair, the top of your skull, the finer, the more
you're being rabbinical.
Jeffrey, how many girls did you traffic? I mean, look, it's a number. All numbers are numbers. You know, I mean, come on, look. I mean, ultimately, you can't measure anything, right? Zeno's paradox. So, I mean, could have been a few, maybe several. Like, fucking hell, dude.
This is like
I shaved my beard off. I used to be rabbinical.
No, my point is, isn't that?
He is absolutely being rabbinical. He's obfuscating. It's like, oh, you can't measure anything. It's a good observation from Bannon. Only second pushback that I've seen from Bannon as well. That's like meaningful.
Going through the Torah where you're parsing every definition.
No, so,
however we broadly define measure. Your life literally is about measurement, is it not?
It's about putting numbers on things so that I can try my best. You can call it whatever you like. If that makes you feel better.
What do you know?
No, I want to make you happy.
Back to your scientific inquiry.
No, even a number. People don't. A number is a complicated.
When did you come to this inflection? When did you come to this aha moment?
Age is just a number, bro.
When it was in your solitary confinement, when the biggest financial crisis in world history was going on, in your 7x9 jail cell with your metal bed and your 2 brushes because you were a trustee with the brown uniform on, trustee spelled wrong. Is that the moment of clarity that you had about science and Newtonian physics and everything that we can measure is really not going to be the way we go forward. It's going to be much more esoteric, emotional intelligence thing. Was that your
Listen up, because we're about to get a hit of the Aries moon.
moment of clarity?
I wish it was, because it would make such a great story for this interview, but it's not. It's the fact that I lead such a privileged life to come across.
But when did you? If it didn't happen then, when did it? Or did it happen before?
I was going to hopefully get to the.
Okay.
I'm in a privileged position to have some of the world's smartest people come to my house and tell me what they think about different subjects, and
For what reason do they come to your house?
finally realized that the thing that they had most in common was there was this area
Was it a love of underage girls?
no matter how smart they were, that when I asked them the questions, they said they'd have to resort to a 500 or 1,000-year-old response to that question, which was, I don't know.
You know who else found that out?
I think if you're looking at his natal chart based on the one online, I don't think his moon was in if I remember correctly, I don't think his moon was in the 4th. I think if you're looking at the natal chart that's publicly spread around for 6:15 a.m., it's not correct. Go back to the start of the stream, you'll see why. But yeah, he did have his same moon sign, yeah.
In Socrates. That's what Socrates kept doing, right? Socrates kept asking all the experts. He would go through, question after question after question, and realize at the end they didn't really know. They really didn't basically understand what they were talking about.
And one of the things that people won't enjoy, it turns out that potentially one of the bad things to teach children is how to write. It's writing, reading, and arithmetic was supposed to be everyone.
Bruh. Dion Fortune turning in her grave. Jeffrey Epstein knows that writing is an occult technology, and he knows that in the future, the ability to write, to make symbols, to make glyphs is going to be the preserve of the elite. Normal people don't need to write. Machines can do the writing for you. You can slowly regress into idiocracy and become a more useful cow for the elites. So they're literally taking the occult arts of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and that's what they are. They're occult arts, and they're taking them away from the everyday man. Bro, he's telling you. It's
supposed to be taught. But writing forces you into a very narrow channel of thinking.
Which is why you should be a polyglot, which is why you should speak multiple languages, not why you should stop writing. Listen to what's being sold to you.
You have to write in a certain form, in a certain way, in a certain linear pattern. So your thinking becomes somewhat narrow. The reason I brought up writing is one of the recent discoveries of mine with respect to Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle is they never wrote anything. They spoke, and people around who could write wrote. Socrates could think. So that was
Jesus of Nazareth was the same way, right? Never wrote anything.
I thought he was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter.
Didn't he need like a little carpenter's tonight? I don't want to get that.
But at least his written record. Right. One last thing.
Sure. Thank you for having me to your house. Vegetable juice.
Let's go back.
Look what vegetable juice does.
When did the beginning of that, was there any one aha moment in all these great thinkers? Did it happen before 2008? Was it after? That came up over, I know, many years, but when did you actually realize, hey, something new's got to be developed?
Yeah, that's great. Is that because again, I'm privileged enough to have people around me who've given lots of philanthropic gifts to institutions of higher learning. And when I said the impact, how do you judge the impact of your giving? And we sat down and said,
Listen, I know this is the meme, and normally I would tell you guys like you're being overreactive, like you always ascribe this anti-Christ thing to Jewish people, like the Jews killed Christ, all this kind of stuff, or like you Christian Wignats. Normally I would tell you you're being overreactive, but having read some of the emails, man, like there's some weird anti-Jesus sentiment that's kind of fascinating.
New ideas have come out.
I disagree with you that all Jews feel that way about Jesus, though. I feel like that's kind of a cringe take.
And I realized that Of course, it hasn't come out because we've been looking at using science.
I mean, Jesus was Jewish, bro.
And mathematics, and it's the wrong tool. It's obvious.
Institutions that are set up and try to put forward knowledge and understanding and truth, should they take your money?
Derek Bach at Harvard said taking money for good causes is a good thing.
So if Hitler took all the gold,
The Aquarius is asked a question that he's supposed to answer from a personal perspective, and he quotes a Harvard professor. The sun does not want to be in Aquarius.
out of the teeth of the Jews, and said, I want to give this to Heidelberg University to fund the Leibniz chairs so that I can study high energy physics, Derek Bach would say that was fine?
Again, it's these questions are questions where good people on both sides, like your Charlottesville, could differ.
See how plugged in he is? You see how plugged he is? How good people on both sides. 4chan moderator, I might remind you.
I don't know the answer to these questions.
So tell us the two. Give us the two answers. What the one answer why it shouldn't be, and then the one answer. Derek Bach says, I'll essentially take cash from anybody because I got so many projects, so many good guys, and this is the way I'll do it. So I'm indifferent to where the cash comes from. Money's money. And if I got good guys, I'm the fiduciary who says these are good people and this is good research. Okay.
I'm surprised he didn't start melting.
I'll take the cash from any source, including you. What's the other argument?
Let me give you that. I know in my case,
is your money dirty money?
If you live,
I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money?
No, it's not. So in fact,
why is it not dirty money?
Because I earned it.
Wow. Is your money dirty money? Is the money that you acquired from rising up the ranks of a criminal gangster network? Is the money that you acquired from blackmailing people, from trafficking children, from peddling in lies and extortion and philandery and rape? If some of the accusations are to be believed in literal pedophilia and cannibalism, I don't know how much of this is AI slop and hysteria versus, what Nick Fuentes and BAP tell us, which is that we're looking at 14-year-old girls, bro. And it does, I'll be honest, it does change my opinion massively. 14-year-old girls, yeah, it's disgusting, it's criminal, obviously, but it's not pedophilia per se. 11-year-old girls, you're looking at a pedophile. These things matter, right? But either way, even if Epstein was only dealing in trafficking 18-year-old above age hookers to politicians, taking photographs and then blackmailing them later, even then, how he can look the guy dead in the eye and say that his money isn't dirty. And then when questioned further on why, because I earned it. Because I earned it.
But you earned it. We went back to this before. You earned it. You earned it advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things, and just to make more money.
So, instead of asking me the question, should you take the money? Because I think it's a legitimate question.
You think it's a legitimate question?
Yes, no question. Because I think ethics is always a complicated subject, but I can tell you that with the money I gave to help try to eradicate polio in Pakistan and India, instead of asking me,
philanthropist,
whether that money should be given to these children for vaccines, I think you might want to ask their mothers who received the vaccine, who know their child now won't get polio, and ask them if Epstein should have helped these people.
You're a mathematician. We walked into that clinic where they're giving that money out to these people that are the most dire straits of poverty and sickness, and told them that the money was coming from class 3 sexual predator?
Tier 1.
Tier 1's the highest award?
Fuck that amateur shit. We going professional.
No, I'm
the lowest.
I'm the lowest.
You're the lowest.
Oh, he's the low. Oh, wow. Doesn't that say so much about the corruption in the American system? This guy's the lowest tier. This guy's the lowest tier. Yo, you got out of high school and messaged a girl who was still in high school, and you're going straight into tier 1 sexual predator. But this guy is on a fucking ankle monitor and only has to go to prison at the weekends. What does that tell you about the American criminal justice system? Pay to play, perhaps?
Tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal.
I'm a fucking
yes,
pro.
that
We
the money
ball.
came from.
We ball out here. I'm professional.
What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say, I don't care, I want the money for my children?
I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children.
Did they know where the money came from?
If I think if you
See,
told them, if I told them the devil
100%. Himself.
The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
Oof.
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
Bro, do you think you're the devil? No, but I do have a good mirror. What's the implication there? It's that's how you speak to the devil. I'm telling you, this interview is more. I could do a whole fucking 5-hour stream just breaking down how esoteric this fucking interview is. Good Lord.
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is somebody knows the devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.
Satan is at the number 1 or 2 archangel, and the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven.
I saw that in a movie once called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay, we have to go.
Okay, good.
Okay,
we have to go. Fellas, and indeed, ladies, it's been a pleasure to stream for you this evening. I want to thank Everett. Thank you for having me in your house and on your phone. I want to thank Bill Nye, the Soviet spy. I want to thank Joe. I want to thank Batjoker 500. I want to thank Dudemon, king shit as ever. I want to thank Mr. Mo, even though he has a fucking Mars-Venus conjunction. And I want to thank Toasty Chasing Action. Toast is chasing action. Guys, more of these streams will be coming down the pipe in the future. If you want to get at me for a reading, you can do so on Twitter. If you want to learn astrology and the dark arts, you can join the Black Lodge. The link is in the the link to get in is in the members only tab, and the password, at least for today, is abracadabra. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you before I dip. Not really. Just that, yeah, it's been hella interesting. I think I would encourage you all to do, I know I will over the next few weeks, be like dipping in and out of the various things that have come to light and trying to make sense of it. I saw a photo today of Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein standing side by side, and Bill Clinton had 3 hands. So don't trust everything that you see or hear or read. But this is a time of great revelation, clearly. I've seen it in the stars. And we're all very lucky to be here as this shit show unfolds, as this house of cards comes tumbling down, as things that were previously hidden and occulted are brought into the light. I promise you, there is no better way to understand a person than to get your head around basic astrology. It's helped me massively understand the character of Jeffrey Epstein, a guy who came from obscurity and stumbled his way to notoriety. I can yap all day about having like Pholus conjunct the sun, conjunct Mercury on the midheaven, with Fortune opposite the sun on the IC, but I would just be yapping, wouldn't I, really? I would just be yapping into the void. Stumbled. I'm not even joking. Stumbled. No Nepo baby shit. No fucking I'm talking about a guy who got incredibly lucky. I'm not saying he's not Machiavellian or a schemer or a schmoozer. Obviously an incredible networker, but a guy who got real lucky in life. and who I think knows that actually and has some kind of guilt and remorse about that. A guy with an unexpectedly spiritual side, but whose mind is very practical and very cold. Please leave in the comments any recommendations of people that you think I should look at, you know, like other people and stuff. Yeah, I guess I'll play us out. Let me see. Let me see here. Yeah, that should do. You know what's funny? I think what's kind of crazy is even though there was heaps of politicians and celebrities, influential figures, thought leaders, dudes from think tanks, all that kind of stuff, even though the Epstein files appeared to be a litany of well-known celebrity characters, there was one guy who didn't make it onto any list. And I think we should close out with him. You know what I mean? Good night, guys. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Always pick up when you fall. You only want me around just to break your fall. I'm leaving. I just really want your night and day. But you can't even give me your night and day. When you say what? Like you say what? Baby, why you say you could if you can't? Oh, no. Hey, yeah. Either you don't trust me, or you don't trust yourself. Either way, but say, cause you know nothing deal, we can't trust nobody else. And I won't make you mine, just cause you can't stand to be yours. Just tell me what you need, baby girl, I'll sell you seats. Just meet me at the shore. So move to Atlanta, fill up your plan, go and get your life on track. Baby, do what you gotta, I ain't gonna stop ya. I ain't even mad, but I want ya, I can't deny it. You got the drive, forget about the mileage, and we can try it just right now. Just let me know when you're back in town. Don't always be good when you call. You only want me around just to break your fall. I'm leaving. I just really want your night and day. You can't even give me your night day. When you say you would, why you say you would, why you say you could if you can't? No, no, yeah, yeah. Baby, why you always passive? I can see it in your last text, but I ain't even gonna reply. I'ma snap just like a last and maybe put you in the past tense. If you don't speak in your mind, why is it always up to me? Open up a conversation if you fuck with me. Baby, are you ever supposed to love on me? You don't love yourself, and that's basic. I say I'm my favorite. You ask what I'm playing at. What the fuck? I don't really know what to say. So I'll send it later. Like the shit was safe sex. You go, boy. Now I'm losing my mind. And I'm wasting my time. Baby girl, just get out the house and come and see me. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh. Don't always be good when you call. Hey, you only want me around just to break your fall. I'm leaving. I just really want your night and day. You can't even give me your night. Yeah, like you said you would. think you could. Yeah, no, no, baby. Yeah. Whoa, baby, yeah. Whoa, baby, you think away you go. Yeah. Baby, yeah. Whoa, baby, you think away you go. Yeah.
5:30, the car missing. No text backs or call misses. I feel like we all victims. Docs is getting long. Drunk testing, I should not do Patron. I hop on the phone, turn the music up, got in my zone. Drunk texting, I should probably Superdrone. Had to do wrong, order to do you right. You gotta go through it, order to give advice. It's the price of the litty nights. I know the liquor hitting. Why when somebody break your heart, it help fix your vision. If you fall in love with a demon or a diva, pray your soulmate got a soul when you meet her. The crystal ball couldn't tell me if they'll leave again. Problems too extra large to share with a medium. We fight not for flesh and blood on this level. And devil's advocate is advocating for the devil. And love is all draining and stop. It's all fatal. We used to be secretive, but now it's all blatant. It's all just lost, ain't it? Watching it all cave in. We the topic of conversation. 5:30, the car missing. No texting, just call missing. We fighting, you won't listen. You right, we both tripping. It's game time. Matter of fact, it's yay time. The past year been a strange time. Visitations on FaceTime. And who gon' break whose heart first? Always just breaks mine. Looking for blessings that God will hand me. I'm trying to just raise a family. Somebody should raise the nanny. I'm trying to leave you alone, but that last text was courtesy of Patron. 5:30, the car missing. Emotions is all distance. No text, just call missing. We fighting, you won't listen. You right, we both tripping. .30, the car missing. Is this what you call distance? One song from the glass prison. Dun dun for our last visit. That did it. Whoa, whoa, that did it. That gets it. That did it. Mad with it. Thought we had did it. Everybody want too much of us. Everybody except for us. I don't know what's left of us. Running enough with us. Trying to write what's left of us. Trying to write what's left of us. Wanna know nothing us. Wanna know the red of us. Everything they said it was. Everything they bet it was. I don't know how I bet it was. Wanna know forget it does. I don't know how forget it does. You know it was, you know it is, you know the kid, you know we did, and I know it is. Know it is, on the go with it, I'ma throw it in, and I go with it. Dump on the go with it, and I throw it in, and we going in. Pump on the whole length, and the thumb up on the thunder, and I can't take it. I can't take it. You a fake bitch. You don't really love Jay, go listen to Drake, bitch. You don't live in thumb song with a tape, bitch. Go listen to Lil Baby, go listen to Future, bitch. Go stomp, you don't think about your future, bitch. Don't stomp on the thumb, I'm new with this. Dun dun, I don't I'm gonna do with this. Line, don't think this. Can't bump on a thumb for you fake bitch. You don't really love Ye, go listen to Drake, bitch. You don't dun I wanna do to bitch. Listen to Lil Baby, listen to Future, bitch. Phone summer, thunder, temper for a fugitive. Wanna thunder, and I don't love hoes. You don't love Ye, you love money bag, yo. I'm the son of where you shining, what he bad for, what he mad for. You a fake bitch. Don't listen to me. Don't go listen to Drake, bitch. Listen to Lil Baby, go listen to Future, bitch. But if I'm another thunder for your future, bitch. And I hope your baby daddy was a fugitive. And I hope you sound a thunder when you lose a kid. And I hope you're gonna do with this. This last one's from Patron. This last text cause Patron. Then I stand so they don't. No, I bet on fame don't.
If Ma June had